Teaching 22. 1. This is a period of great enlightenment for the people of Israel, in which I am awakening the spirits of diverse mansions, in the different pathways of the earth, so that all my children will come to me filled with comprehension and love to receive their heritage. 2. I am choosing from among humanity men, women, elders, and children, in whom are lodged the spirits of Israel, for they are the firstborn of my divinity, responsible for my revelations. 3. In the 3 periods I have reunited and assembled my people, and during this third era your spirit has been surprised by my presence and my word through a human faculty, for you did not believe that Christ, the divine word, would come to communicate with you in this manner. Having announced my return as the Holy Spirit through the prophets, you did not keep watch awaiting my arrival, and now that you have my manifestation among you, you have not recognized me because of your lack of spirituality, of study in the divine teachings. But you should understand that in whatever form I manifest myself to you, I will always be essence, presence, and power, truth and love. For then why have you doubted me during the 3 eras in which I have manifested myself before you? By chance, have I concealed the signs and the time of my arrival so that humanity would be confused? Truly not. Those who doubt my presence, be silent, seal your lips, keep on listening to me untiringly, unless you confess that it is I, your God, who has come to communicate himself through a human faculty. If I manifest myself through the faculty of men and women whose imperfections and weaknesses are similar to yours, it is because I have searched for someone through whom I can communicate, and I have not found a chaste and pure heart to manifest myself in all my splendor. 5. I have searched among children, and I behold that while the flesh is innocent, the spirit bears with it a chain of vices which it has gathered in past periods, and it has forgotten that it has come to incarnate again on this planet, merely to purify itself in a new body. I have searched among the juveniles for a pure heart, and I beheld that the young man has become soiled and bears wounds in his spirit, and in the young maiden is the germ of temptation. Among the elderly I see only beings who are tired and confused due to the vicissitudes of life. Among men of science, materialism and vanity prevails, for after I showed them the secrets of nature, they felt important and they desired to be converted into gods in this world. And from among those so-called ministers of my divinity, I only discover the hypocrite and the Pharisee of the 3rd era. For that reason I say to you, I have chosen from among sinners the ones whom I have named spokesmen, who are like yourselves, and through this gift that I have given them, they are making restitution and are being saved. At the moment when my ray of light descends to illuminate and thus prepare them so that I can communicate through their faculty, I withdraw their blemish, I receive their elevation, and my spiritual beings, to whom they have been entrusted to keep watch over them, will prepare and dignify them. 6. I could manifest myself visibly or make my voice resound as you heard it during the 1st era on Mount Sinai, but through that method what merits of faith would you accomplish before me? None, because the virtue of faith is a step along the ladder of your evolution. But I do not conceal myself because of that. And if I communicate through the faculty of man, it is because I love you, and I am revealing to you a more elevated lesson so that you may recognize me in its perfection. 7. Within the spirit of man, which is my masterpiece, I have placed my divine light. I have cultivated it with infinite love as a gardener cultivates the favorite plant of his garden. I have placed you in this mansion where nothing will be lacking for your livelihood, so that you will know me and know yourselves. I have given you power in your spirit to feel the life of the hereafter and senses in your body so that you can enjoy and perfect yourselves. I have given you this world so that in it you will commence to take your first steps, and in this path of progress and perfection you can experience the perfection of my law so that during your lifetime you can recognize and love me, and through your merits you can reach me. 8. I have granted you the gift of freedom of will, and I have endowed you with a conscience. The first is for your freedom to develop within my laws, and the second to be able to distinguish good from evil so that it will tell you like a perfect judge whether you are complying or are at fault with my law. 9. The conscience is light of my divine spirit which never separates from you at any moment. 10. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am peace and happiness, the eternal promise that you will be with me and also the fulfillment of all my words. 11. If you feel uncertain toward life, if you consider yourselves powerless for the struggle, pray, communicate with me and remain within the path of peace that my love marks for you. Correct your errors, regenerate yourselves, and forgive those who offend you. Resign yourselves to your ordeals, and you will feel my strength and peace, in spite of the vicissitudes of life. 12. The Master is ready to teach you and to pour his wisdom within your spirit and your heart, for I will speak to you by this means only a short time. I want to leave you as heirs of my word, so that you may guard it zealously. It is the truth, and if you let it be known to your brethren with its original purity and with your good deeds, you will have fulfilled your spiritual mission. 13. Those who at the moment of my departure say to me, Master, you are departing from us, and you leave us like orphans, are the ones who have been deaf and blind before my manifestation, and they have not made an effort to understand my lesson. 14. For a long time I have beheld fanaticism and idolatry in your worship. You bring to these houses of prayer material offerings which do not reach me. For that reason I have invited you to analyze my word, so that your spirit can evolve, because the phase of preparation is ending and it is necessary for you to take a step forward toward the comprehension of my teachings. 15. The unrighteous will be converted into beginners, the beginners into disciples, and the disciples into living examples of humility, charity, and wisdom. Many of them are among these multitudes, but they are also dispersed among scientists and among religions and sects. 16. Do not become vain with the fruits of your science. For now, while so much progress has been made through it, is when humanity suffers more, when there is more misery, unrest, illness, and destructive wars. 17. Man still has not discovered the true science, that which is gained through the path of love. 18. Behold how vanity has blinded you. Each nation wants to have the greatest wise men on earth. Truly I say to you that the scientists have not penetrated deeply into the secrets of the Lord. I can say to you that the knowledge that man has of life is still superficial. 19. The time draws near in which the spiritual revelations will disclose to mankind the shining path to reach and know the mysteries which are concealed in the bosom of creation. The light of my Spirit will reveal to you the manner of obtaining the true science which will permit man to be recognized and obeyed by the creatures that surround you and by the elements of creation, thus fulfilling in this way my will that man would be Lord on the earth, but that will take place when the spirit of man, illuminated by its conscience, will exercise its power and its light over the weaknesses of the flesh. 20. How can the forces and the elements of creation submit to the will of men when men are motivated by egotistical feelings, while nature is guided by my law of love? 21. It is necessary for the ideals of mankind to be directed by the pathways of justice, guided by the truth of a perfect teaching, which will reveal to it the meaning of eternal life, and that teaching is the spiritual doctrine which, during the course of time, will transform your spiritual and human life. 22. Man by himself is incapable of receiving my word and modifying his customs, tendencies, ambitions, and ideals. That is why I have permitted pain to shake him for a time. But when his cup becomes more bitter and he recognizes his errors before the judge of his conscience, he will invoke my name, he will seek me, the lost sheep will return to my fold of love. And all my children will be filled with the light of my Spirit to begin a new form of life. 23. I have not come to place defects on your work on earth. No, I come to point out your errors, for I want you to attain the perfection which belongs to you as an eternal heritage. Your spirit will not be lost because it is a spark of the divine light and image of your Lord and Creator. 24. What would become of your spirit if I devoted myself to exalt your human works and left it abandoned indefinitely to earthly passions? 25. If I have come to you, it is because I love you. If I speak to you with apparent severity, my justice and my love are within my word. If I make you aware of the truth, even though sometimes it might cause you pain, it is because I desire your salvation. 26. Do not reject my word, analyze it so that in its essence you will find the doctrine capable of performing the miracle of transforming this valley of tears, which today has been converted into a field of bloody battles among brothers, into a valley of peace where only one family will live, humanity practicing the just, perfect and loving laws that your Father has inspired, for in their fulfillment you will find happiness. 27. Few disciples I have had in this world, and even less in number the ones who have been like the image of the divine Master. In the spiritual realm I have many disciples, for that is where there is more advancement within the study of my teachings. That is where my beginners, those who thirst and hunger for love, receive from their Master what mankind denied them. That is where those who were ignored on earth, on account of their humility, glow because of their virtue, and where those who glowed with false enlightenment in this world weep with sadness and repentance. 28. In the hereafter is where I welcome you in a manner that you did not expect on earth, when you restitute tearfully but blessing me. It does not matter that along your journey you had a moment of desperation. I will take into account that you had days of great distress, and that in them you demonstrated resignation and you blessed my name. Also in your smallness you have experienced some calvaries, although these were caused by your disobedience. 29 Behold, that for a few moments of fidelity and love for God you obtain times of life and grace in the hereafter. In that way my eternal love responds to the temporary love of man. 30 Blessed be those who falling and arising are weeping and blessing me. Those hurt by their own brethren confide in me deep within their heart. Those small and sorrowful, ridiculed, but meek and for that reason strong in spirit are truly my disciples. 31 Be rejoiced, for with these lessons you will progress in your evolution, even when there are those who, allowing themselves to be guided by hasty judgments, think the opposite. For centuries you have been divided by religions and sects, because you always had a thirst to know something more than what you knew, and you still have a heart withered for lack of love, in spite of as many beliefs as you have had. But soon you will gather around the perfect love that emanates from the book of the true life, which is this word. 32 You are dying of spiritual thirst, you are withered for lack of the dew of love and pure affection. You feel alone, and for that reason I have come to pour among you the unmistakable fragrance of my love, which will allow your spirit to be reborn and to flourish in virtue. 33 Listen to me, O disciples, so that you will erase from your mind ancient beliefs. Christianity was divided into sects which do not show love among themselves, which humiliate, reject, and threaten their brethren with false judgments. I say to you that they are Christians without love, therefore they are not Christians, because Christ is love. 34 There are those who represent Jehovah as an oldster, full of human imperfections, vengeful, cruel, and more dreadful than the worst of your judges of earth. 35 I do not say this so that you will ridicule anyone, but that your concept of the divine love be purified. Today you are unaware of how you worshipped me in your past. 36 Practice the silence which favors the spirit so that it will find its God. That silence is like a fountain of knowledge, and all who penetrate into it will be filled with the clearness of my wisdom. The silence is like a closed place with indestructible walls to which only the spirit has access. Man constantly carries within his innermost the knowledge of the secret place in which he can communicate with God. 37 You can communicate with your Father wherever you are, for the place is of no consequence. It can be at the top of the mountain, or if you find yourself in the depth of a valley, in the commotion of a city, in the peace of your home, or in the midst of a struggle, if you seek me in the interior of your sanctuary, in the midst of the deep silence of your elevation. The doors of the universal and invisible temple will be opened instantly, so that you feel yourself truly in the house of the Father, which exists in each spirit. 38 When the pain of your ordeals overwhelm you and your afflictions of life annihilate your senses, if you experience an intense desire to obtain a little peace, retire to your chamber or seek the silence, the solitude of the countryside. There elevate your spirit guided by its conscience and enter into meditation. The silence is the kingdom of the spirit, a kingdom that is invisible to human eyes. 39 At the moment of penetrating the spiritual ecstasy, the awakening of the superior senses is obtained. Intuition surges, the inspiration glows, the future is perceived, and the spiritual life touches what is distant, and makes possible what before seemed impossible. 40 If you wish to penetrate the silence of this sanctuary, of this ark, you yourselves should be the ones to prepare the way, for only with true purity will you be able to penetrate it. 41 In it exist gifts and missions which only await the arrival of the hour of your preparation to lodge within your spirit and convert you into prophets and teachers. 42 In that ark is all the past, the present, and the future of all beings. There is the manna of the Spirit, the bread of eternal life, of which I said through Jesus that whoever eats of that bread will never die. 43 Your spirit has rejoiced while listening to my word and has found an opportunity to fulfill its mission among this group of laborers that I am forming. 44 How many afflictions you forget while you are dedicated to this blessed work of advising, healing, and comforting your fellow men. 45 Your spirit has been strengthened and the flesh has been healed. Therefore I tell you that he who gives peace, healing balsam, or practices charity in any of its countless forms, will see multiplied in himself that which he gave. 46 In that manner I am separating you from the false pleasures of the world, from what is superfluous, so that your heart will be cleansed and always be worthy for my charity to pass through it to the needy. Thus you will not go back to contaminate yourselves by the wickedness which prevails everywhere. 47 That inner and outer clarity is essential in my disciples, for only thus will you be believed by your brethren when you arise to extend this good news. Only by having the heart healthy and clean will good deeds emanate from it, and from your lips words of light. 48 Along your way you will find darkness and confusion, and the only strength and power that you will have to overcome falsity with the truth will be precisely the clearness of your feelings, the purity of your deeds. Do not forget that although before your fellow men you might pretend to manifest the truth without possessing it, you will not be able to deceive me. 49. Your transformation should be profound and truthful to such an extent that you will notice it in the spirituality with which your children come to the world, those new generations which are a promise for mankind, men healthy of body and spirit, not slaves of temptation or victims of the falsehood of their brethren, but beings capable of loving me with dignity and loving their fellow men with truth. The time approaches when the adversaries of my doctrine will arise and lie in wait for you, wanting to destroy your seed. But I tell you that if you look after it as your sacred heritage, if you are vigilant over what I have entrusted to you, no power will destroy what you sow with love and in my name within the heart of your brethren. 50. Practice my word, preach with actions, testify with good deeds, words and thoughts, and your testimony will be worthy of my teaching. 51. Watching and praying, you should wait for those who sooner or later will come to seek you. The soldiers will come from the wars with a depressed heart and a sobbing spirit. The governing heads will recognize their mistakes and will publicly weep for their faults, and the multitudes who thirst and hunger for justice will seek those fountains of spiritual light where they can drink until they satisfy their need for faith, peace, and love. 52. My spirit keeps vigil over every being, and I am watchful even to the last of your thoughts. 53. Truly I say to you that there among the armies who fight for earthly ideals and ambitions I have discovered during their moments of rest, men of peace and goodwill who have been made into soldiers by force. From their heart escapes a sigh when my name emerges from their lips, and the tears run down their cheeks with the memory of their loved ones. Parents, wives, children, or brothers. Then their spirit, without any other temple than the sanctuary of their faith, without any altar other than their love, without any light other than that of their spirit, elevates itself before me, asking forgiveness for the deaths it has unintentionally caused with its weapons. They seek me to ask with all the strength of their being to permit them to return to their home, or that, at least, if they are to fall under the attack of the enemy, to cover with my mantle of mercy those whom they leave on earth. 54. To all those who seek my forgiveness in that manner, I give my blessing, for they are not the ones to blame for killing, others are the assassins, the ones who will answer to me for what they have done with human lives once the moment of their judgment arrives. 55. Many of them who love peace ask themselves why I have permitted them to be taken to the very fields of battle and death, to which I say to you that if their human understanding is not able to comprehend the reason that underlies all this, their spirit, on the other hand, knows that it is fulfilling a restitution. 56. I am also aware of those who, forgetting their own, think about all people in order to weep with sorrow before the realization of the false Christianity of mankind. They in their prayers call me, in their meditation they remember that the promise of my return exists and that even the signs of my new coming were predicted and were written. They carry these words within their heart, and that is why they ask me each day when my return from the east or the west will be. Thus they seek the signs everywhere without discovering them, and they feel confused. 57. They do not know that all signs have already been verified, and that is why my spirit begins to manifest its new phase at this time. 58. How many times while listening to my spiritual voice and not understanding the significance of my message, they have awakened and asked themselves, who has called me? On other occasions the light of intuition has been so clear in their understanding that they have realized surprising deeds which have filled them with amazement. 59. The healing balsam for the wounded or the dying, as well as the bread or water, have come to them in a miraculous way, and they feel how peace and hope strengthens them spiritually and physically during the moments of greatest danger. 60. These happenings have made those who live in vigilance and are praying exclaim inwardly, Lord, are not these manifestations that you give us daily proof of your presence? Does all this not prove that your spirit seeks ours during this period to communicate from master to disciple, or from father to son? 61. Yes, O beloved disciples, they are proof that my spirit is vibrating over yours, fulfilling under a new form my promise to return among men. 62. The signs which announced my new manifestation are already fulfilled. You did not see them, nor did you have any news about them, but I say to you, do you feel my presence? Do you feel the coming of the new era? Is your heart nourished when you pray spiritually, and does your spirit feel strengthened if it allows itself to be guided by the light of its conscience? If that is so, then why do you need material signs that will announce my presence and give testimony of the fulfillment of the prophecy? Let the Pharisees and the scribes of these times do the scrutinizing. Let the heads of the priests, fearful of my presence, be the ones to sound space and the earth in search of the promised signs. For them these were granted, for those men of little faith, for those who boast of spirituality and who have their heart and spirit more hardened than a rock, the signs were for them which were like voices of trumpets, originating from nature when my spiritual manifestation was near giving its light upon mankind. 63. In this moment of prayer dedicated to the communion with the Father, forget all your worries. Reject the temptations which might keep your spirit from the fulfillment of my law. Free it from all restlessness. During these sublime moments, allow your will to be the divine will. Submit yourselves to the love of your heavenly Father. It will be then when you will see realized as in the second era the deeds that you call miracles. 64. When you feel engulfed in my peace during your prayers, it will be a sign that you have entered into a communion with my divinity. The conscience will glow like a shining sun within your spirit, and you will behold the light of the Holy Spirit upon the altar of your sanctuary. You will see everything illuminated during those moments by the love of God. 65. The veils that through your unpreparedness have prevented you from understanding. 65. The veils that through your unpreparedness have prevented you from understanding the significance of my teachings will be unveiled, and you will behold in the interior of the eternal tabernacle, the secret sanctuary of the Lord, which is the origin of life, where true wisdom emanates. My peace be with you. Teaching 23. 1. Blessed are those who seek to be in peace with their conscience. Blessed is he who sows the seed of my peace along the path of his fellow men. 2. Always when you find yourselves dejected by the afflictions or lack of faith, come to me, for I am the light and the strength that will restore your spiritual tranquility. 3. When I cease to manifest myself in this manner, where will you listen to me? In your conscience, for through it I am indicating to you the path of love. For when the world goes through an era of spiritual disorientation, when man does not understand the mysteries which involve the spiritual life, or is unable to analyze or meditate on his mission in spite of being capable of it, the clearness of my word comes to illuminate him. Mankind is a witness that during this period the scientists dedicate all their time and their mental strength to discovering within nature the answer to many questions and doubts which life offers them. And nature responds to the call of men, giving testimony of its Creator, who is an inexhaustible fountain of wisdom and love, but also of justice. Nevertheless, the freedom of will with which man has been endowed has not awakened him to the light of my love, and the spirit continues to drag the chains of materialism from which it has not been able to liberate itself. It seems as if he is afraid of taking a progressive step in his evolution, accustomed to being at a standstill in the traditions which his predecessors willed to him. Man fears to think and believe for himself. He prefers to submit to the tradition of others, depriving himself of the freedom to know me. For that reason he has lived in backwardness, but the time of light has arrived for mankind, and with it man acquires his own knowledge, he awakens, he progresses, and he is amazed before the truth of my teaching. 5. Why, when humanity has witnessed the development of science and has seen discoveries which it would not have believed before, does it resist believing in the evolution of the spirit? Why is he obstinate in that which makes him stationary and lethargic? 6. My doctrine and my revelations of these times are in accordance with your evolution. Let not the scientist be vain in his material work or his science, for in it my revelation has always been present, and also the help of the spiritual world who inspires from the hereafter. Man is part of creation, he has a mission to fulfill, as do all creatures of the Creator, but he has been given a spiritual nature, an intelligence and a personal will, so that through his efforts, he can attain the development and perfection of the spirit, which is the most elevated thing he possesses. By means of the Spirit, man can conceive his Creator, understand his benefits, as well as admire his wisdom. 7. If instead of being conceited by your earthly knowledge, you would identify yourselves with all my work, there would exist for you no mysteries, you would recognize yourselves as brethren, and you would love one another as I love you. In you there would be kindness, charity, love, and therefore union with the Father. 8. How small you are! When believing yourselves to be all-powerful and great, you resist in confessing that above the limit of your power and your science is the one who truly knows all and does all. Then you confine yourselves to be flesh and only flesh. And you appear insignificant, for you remain subject only to the natural law which governs mortal and short-living beings who are born, grow, and die without leaving any trace along their path. When will you arise from that state in which you find yourselves? You will have to make an effort to see beyond that heaven that you have created in order for you to comprehend that only through spiritual merits will you reach the Father. 9. Do not wait for others to start the march toward me. Come, elevate your prayer, and in that manner, You will understand what you should do and you will know the mission which you must fulfill. I come to invite you to come near me, but to do that it is not necessary for you to abandon the missions, responsibilities and enjoyments of the human existence. 10. You have come to dwell on earth during a time in which men live under the domination of human science, and nevertheless, at this time you will develop your spiritual virtues, you will heal the sick, you will prophesy and you will reach a greater height in your spiritual evolution. 11. The light which illuminates your innermost will help you to predict what is to come, but you should prepare yourselves so that that virtue will flourish. Nothing should remain at a standstill. Everything should proceed in harmony with creation. 12. I do not deliver my teaching to you just as a moral restraint for your body, but with it you can attain great elevation toward your spiritual perfection. 13. I do not come to create a new religion among you. This doctrine does not come to deny the existing religions when they are based on my truth. This is a message of divine love for all, a call for all institutions. He who understands the divine purpose and complies with my precepts will feel guided toward the progress and elevation of his spirit. While man does not understand the spirituality which he must have in his life, peace will be very far from being a reality in the world. On the other hand, he who complies with my law of love will not fear death nor the judgment that awaits his spirit. You should know that it will not be until death reaches you that your Father will judge you, but that the judgment begins as soon as you become aware of your deeds and feel the call of your conscience. My judgment is always upon you. At each step, be it in the human existence or in your spiritual life, you are subject to my judgment, but here in the world, while in the flesh, the spirit becomes insensitive and deaf to the calls of its conscience. 14. I judge you to help you open your eyes to the light, to liberate you from sin and save you from pain. 15. In my judgment, I never take into account the offenses that you could have caused me. For before my tribunal, hatred, vengeance, and even punishment are non-existent. 16. When pain reaches your heart and touches you where it is most sensitive, it indicates to you some error that you are committing, to make you understand my teaching, and give you a new and wise lesson. In the depth of each of those trials, my love is always present. 17. On some occasions I have permitted you to understand the reason for an ordeal, in others you cannot find the meaning of that touch of my justice, and the fact is that in the work of the Father and in the life of your spirit, there exist profound mysteries that the human mind is unable to decipher. 18. I give you these teachings, so that you will not wait for death to come to begin to settle your accounts, but take advantage of the ordeals which your life offers, knowing that with the love, patience and elevation with which you receive and fulfill them, will depend that your spirit arrives before the threshold of the eternal life, free of its burden of sins and imperfections which it carried in its stay in the world. 19. The time is long past when you were told, the measure you give is the measure you will get. How many times that law was used to take vengeance here on earth, leaving aside all feeling of charity. 20. Today I say to you, I have taken that rod of justice, and with it I will measure you according to the way you measured others, although I should make it clear to you that in each of my judgments the Father, who loves you very much, will be present, the Redeemer who has come to save you. 21. It is man who with his deeds dictates his own sentence, sometimes terrible sentences, and it is your Lord who provides help so that you can find the way to bear your restitution. 22. Truly I say to you that if you wish to avoid a very painful restitution, repent in the opportune time and with a sincere regeneration guide your life with deeds of love and charity toward your brethren. 23. Understand that I am the door of salvation, the door that will never be closed to all those who seek me with true faith. 24. If you want proof as to the truth of my teachings, I say to you that before your eyes you have the proof that you ask in order to follow me. What is the proof? The regeneration of these men and women who today serve me as laborers in my fields. 25. On occasions this journey is slow and painful, but never impossible to travel. The mission of the spiritual disciple is delicate and difficult, but not impossible to fulfill, for which I say to all those who are undecided that if you are doubtful of being able to obey me, it is because you are men of little faith. 26. I offer my farmstead of love to all those who wish to earn merits serving their brethren. Those who have understood it thus have anxiously approached me, asking for an opportunity to work in my blessed fields, where the seed is charity. 27. Here all merits have to be real in order to be recorded by me in favor of those who realize them. Appearances before others have no value whatever before me. That is why my laborers are learning to work in silence, to be humble and sincere, to detest vanity and never to publicize charity. 28 This people do not know the history of each one of those laborers who day by day serve them. They ignore the efforts, the sacrifices and renunciations that my servants have to realize in order to be worthy to be named my disciples. 29 Many of these men and women who through their spiritual gifts convey so much joy to your heart that they make you feel my balsam and with their word restore the peace, bear within their heart a hidden pain that only my gaze beholds. 30 How many of them have been denied and even rejected by their loved ones because they have taken this path. And though they are hurt, slandered, and threatened, they keep on fulfilling their mission with love, feeling the lashes and the blows of the multitudes while they travel under the burden of their cross like their master. 31 I see that you wish to know why some of them withdraw from following this mission, to which I say to you that it is not because they could not bear the burden of their cross, but the world tempted them and they yielded to temptation. For whoever takes the cross of love upon his shoulders, in reality it is not he who bears it, but rather the cross which sustains him, because each one of the steps of the laborer is always accompanied by an inner feeling of infinite peace. But just because you know that my peace is with all those who follow me, do not behave with ingratitude toward them, because they are as human as yourselves. Just because you see them smiling and peaceful, you persist in ignoring how they suffer in order to be useful and to serve you. 32 Who has known how to repay with love and charity those who many times leave their work to come and welcome those in need of peace and health? When have you come to stay by the cradle of an infant who had to be left alone because his mother is a laborer who had to go and fulfill her mission among those who suffer? Truly I say to you, that in the same way that I have called you so that you learn to receive, I will also ask that you learn to repay the charity of your brethren with love. 33 How many times you show disgust and judge them as unrighteous laborers, because they are late in arriving. You show impatience if you see an error in them, for you know that they have a responsibility to fulfill. 34 Multitudes, who instead of taking with humility the bread which is offered, you devour it together with the hand that is extended to offer you nourishment. 35 What do you know about the struggles that my elect endure to keep themselves cleansed in order to serve you? What do you know about the ordeals with which they are tested in order to keep them on the alert? And still you regard them as weak, and you publicize that temptation has dominated them without realizing that it is the burden that you yourselves have laid upon them. Since you refuse to accept that part of responsibility which corresponds to each one within my work. 36 How soon you forget all that you received through them. But in your heart you reassure yourselves, arguing that they gave you nothing, but truly I say that as long as you do not love one another, it is not true that you love me. 37 The legions of spiritual beings who invisible to your physical eyes assist in the manifestation of my word, are the ones who give my teachings their true interpretation, so that you will know what the mandates are that I gave to the Spirit and in what manner they are fulfilled. That is why I sometimes turn to them through the spokesman through whom I transmit my teaching. By chance, do you believe that it is necessary for me to speak to them through a human means? No, my people, I have just said that I do it only so that you will feel their presence and listen to the orders that I give them. 38 The legion of beings that I have destined to accompany and help you in your journey is very great, so much in fact that you could not imagine it. In its bosom exists an absolute harmony. The light which glows in them is that of wisdom and love, because the ideal to which they are dedicated is that of spreading charity among mankind, their greatest desire being to guide their brethren to the summit of spirituality. 39 How beautiful is the mission which they fulfill and how you hinder their work. You must not say that your lack of collaboration with your spiritual brethren is due to ignorance, since you have already listened to the orders that I give them through my spokesman, so that you will know their mission of love and charity and dispose yourselves to help them in their fulfillment. 40 You still have not been able to identify yourselves with that realm of the brethren of light, nor do you know how to harmonize with them. Why? Because of your lack of spirituality, which does not permit your senses to perceive all the calls, warnings and inspirations with which they would like to guide your steps on earth. 41 Many times you confuse spirituality with material practices which instead of drawing you closer to them, makes them more distant. You believe that in speaking to them it is more efficient to call them by some name than by attracting their attention with a prayer. You are in error in believing that there is a better preparation if you invoke them by lighting a candle or praying in a loud voice. 42 Definitely they answer your call, they interpret your wishes and give you their help, for their mission is inspired by charity, but you did not gain their help because of your spirituality. For then you would certainly have harmonized with your guardian angels, forming with them the people of God, who are able to comply with my mandates which states, love one another. 43 Truly I say to you, the cleaner your thoughts and the more simple and pure your practices, the greater the clarity with which you will perceive the presence and influence of the spiritual realm in your life, and the greater the miracles you will receive from them. 44 Do not think that these your brethren will mingle with your impure deeds or associate with your unrighteous purposes, nor manifest themselves through your conduct if you are not properly prepared to receive them. 45 In order to attain spirituality, O my beloved people, you must pray and have faith. 46 Prayer and faith will make the miracle that to your table will come the bread day by day, just as Israel was rewarded for its faith in the first era with the manna. 47 If other people steal your bread, you should forgive them so that I may forgive everyone. 48 If you were turned away from your home, you can head toward the mountain which will offer its bosom so that you may be protected during the ordeal. 49 Just as in the first era the faith of the people was strengthened through the great tests which it experienced in the desert, so in this period will it be tested many times so that its spirit will acquire the necessary fortitude to be the warrior of this cause. 50 What disciple of this work would be in need of a material temple to seek refuge during the time of trials? No one, because everyone knows that your Father does not seek temples of stone to dwell in them, but sanctuaries and altars within the spirit of mankind, and those temples are with you wherever you are. 51 Your predecessors have lived very much in ignorance, encouraging religious fanaticism, and for that reason they attained very little progress for their spirit. They were not able to behold here on earth the light of this era which is illuminating you, but they will also receive the light in its fullness, when the time comes. 52 My doctrine comes to teach you to harmonize with your brethren whether they dwell on earth or in the infinite spiritual valley. 53 These will be the aspects of your future life if you persevere within the law, but very different will be your journey if you travel outside of the path that I have devised for you with my word, because then hunger, epidemics and wars that will emerge on earth which will not have any respect for you, for those destructive forces will not find anything in you that will stop them. 54 O beloved disciples, benefit by all the tests small or great which present themselves daily during your lifetime, so that when greater ordeals come, they will be like hurricane flashes that will disappear when they clash against the solid walls of the fortress which the practice of my law offers. 55 Form a people with your spiritual unity whose defense against your enemies will be prayer. Then the elements may be unleashed, for this people with their spirituality will be able to triumph over all vicissitudes. 56 Arise, men and women, elders, youths and children. Arise firmly to travel along the path that my word has come to outline for you at this time, which is but the re-establishment of the way that in previous times I came to trace with the pattern of my sacrifice on the cross. 57 Comply with my law so that your children on forming the new generation may attain a greater evolution than you achieved, and so that your disobediences will not separate them from this work, making them live further from spirituality. 58 In this third era I have come to give you the warmth which you lack, to withdraw from you the coldness that you sowed along the paths of your existence. You have listened to the bell that Elijah has set ringing that you may come to receive the light of the Holy Spirit with my teaching. 59 Prepare yourselves to feel my presence and be like the apostles of the second era who while listening to me renewed their faith each day and prepared themselves to give fulfillment to their delicate mission. 60 Israel, do not comply only with your obligations incurred in the world. Comply also with the law, for before the Father you have undertaken a mission and its fulfillment should be strict, elevated and spiritual. 61 I am teaching you so that you will withdraw from materialism and cease to be fanatical and idolatrous, that you may not venerate or render worship to man-made idols. It is not my wish that within your heart there would exist roots of idolatry, fanaticism, false worship. Do not present any offerings that will not reach me. I only ask for your regeneration and your compliance within spirituality. 62 Transform yourselves from your past customs. Do not look back or contemplate what you have left and should no longer practice. Understand that you have penetrated the path of your evolution and you should not be detained. The road is narrow and you must know it well, because tomorrow you will have to guide your brethren through it, and I do not want you to get lost. 63 I am a patient Father who awaits your repentance and goodwill in order to fill you with my grace and my charity. 64 Do not judge the word of my spokesman as sometimes dull. If they lacked preparation, that cause belongs to me. Understand that even if I communicate through the dullest faculty, you will always find within the depth of that word, essence, light, truth and teaching. 65 This era will reveal to men the lessons of the book of the true life, which had not even been known by mankind. 66 In truth I say to you that just as Elijah, who was the one who opened the doors of the third era, did not need to incarnate his spirit in order to speak to men, so I am communicating with you, and the same thing has been done by the many beings who today dwell within the spiritual region. 67 They will communicate with you through your faculties until the year 1950, in which the materialized communication of the spiritual world will cease. And after that period, many times, when men least expect it, the spirits of light of past eras will speak through their lips, the liberators, prophets, patriarchs, benefactors, apostles of righteousness, the sowers of justice, and from the divine teaching of your Father, in the culmination of his love for his children, communicating spirit to spirit. 68 Those who are watchful and praying will become aware of the presence among humanity of the spiritual beings of light, as will those who become spiritualized and prepared, in order to perceive the moment in which those envoys approach, speak or perform some superhuman deed. 69 It will not be necessary for them to communicate through men who have knowledge of this doctrine in order to speak through their faculties. Their presence, their influence, and their inspiration will be so subtle that only he who is prepared will perceive their presence among humanity. 70 The peoples of the earth will feel the presence of Moses as each one of them is being liberated. The different religions will experience the presence of Elijah, when the light which emanates from the truth destroys the darkness of the spiritual ignorance of mankind, making clear before their eyes all falsehood which they have worshipped. 71 The lords of the world who continue to be kings over humiliated peoples will feel the spiritual presence of Daniel, when the prophet approaches their chamber to awaken them so they may pray, because destruction is near. 72 The day will come in which every eye will contemplate the light of these works as it is written, in order for man to know that for the spirit there are no boundaries or material limits, and little by little everyone will draw nearer the goal where harmony and enlightenment will reign. My peace be with you. Teaching 24. 1 O disciples, you must learn to give without expecting any reward. 2 Practice true humility, that which being proper for the elevated spirit is reflected in the sentiments of the heart. Sincerely regard yourselves as the last of all. Never wish to be first. 3 Learn to forgive whoever has offended you. I said to Peter that if he were offended 70 times 7 by his brother, he should forgive him that many times. With this I gave him to understand that he should do it always, the same with the small as with the greater offenses. How many beings have passed through this world calling themselves Christians, and they were not capable of granting a single pardon during their entire life? For now then, I ask all those whom I have called the sons of light, would you not wish that at least once during your lifetime, you had put in practice this sublime mandate, in order to become aware of the miracles it produces, both in the one who forgives as well as on the one who receives it? 5 Enlightenment is nobleness, it is love and understanding among spirits. Now you know how you should conduct yourselves in your life if you truly wish to be the sons of light. 6 Now, when on being offended you return the blow and you both repent, do not hold back your hand because of pride, be the first to extend it as proof of humility, and do not fear being humbled. For I say to you that he who humbles himself in the world will be exalted in the hereafter. 7 How do you think I desire my disciples to be among this humanity? I want them to be cleansed and meek of heart, that with their examples they will shine along the path of their fellowmen, that each one will be like those stars which sparkle at night as guardians or guides of their brethren. 8 I wish that your heart will be filled with joy so that you will spread it upon the sorrowful, that from your hands will flow the balsam that will give health to all the sick, that your lips will be able to transmit my word with its original purity and essence. For then you will be able to redeem through your example those who are lost. 9 In the second era I said to you on contemplating the city where my people dwelt, to whom I was promised as their savior, and who because of the materialism was not aware of my presence, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who has killed the prophets and has denied my messengers, how often would I have gathered your children as a hen gathers her brood under her wings, and you would not. 10 I had sought to offer them a true happiness, and nevertheless I knew that they would take me to Calvary, but my love was not overcome by the wickedness of men, and as proof of it I have returned, saying to you, blessed are those who believe in me today. For I will take from their hearts all grief, but I also bless those who during these times will be my new judges, for I assure you that they will be the believers of tomorrow, like Saul of Tarsus who persecuted those who believed in me, and who will approach me with repentance in order to arise filled with love and faith to spread the seed of truth among their brethren. 11 My light illuminates human understanding. I come to this people as in that time I went to another people who preceded you, and to whom I said that you are bound to them spiritually. How many of those men denied me? How their heart became so cruel as to shout, crucify him. 0. Bless crucifixion, which gave a testimony of what the divine love can do for his children and of what human ingratitude is capable. 12 Many of them were sick, blind, and confused. They did not realize what they had done, and that is why they judged me. Even today, all those who do not travel along my path of love also do not know what they do. Human wickedness wants to finish off the love that I sowed through Jesus, but throughout the centuries, millions of men have wept because of that unspeakable ingratitude. But those who thus weep for me have hated and cursed those who crucified me, when I have not taught you to hate or to curse. I do not hate, curse, or punish. Those feelings are not within my divine spirit, but I do contemplate them in your worldly justice. 13 I taught you to love, forgive, and to pray for those who offended you, and to bless them. 14 If you always had those deeds during your life and on carrying them out you truly felt them without telling anyone, you would attain much in atoning for your faults, and with them, through your clean thoughts, you would receive the light. That is how my word teaches you. That is how the Spirit should work, silently and without any boasting. 15 When from your mind emerges an idea or a thought of light, in that manner it reaches its objective to fulfill its beneficial mission. If instead of kind thoughts, impure emanations surge from your mind, they will only cause harm wherever you send them. I say to you that thoughts are deeds, and as such they remain written in the book which exists in your conscience. 16 If your deeds are good or bad, you will receive multiplied what you wished for your brethren. But it is better to do yourself some harm than to wish it upon one of your fellow men. 17 That is why during the second era I said to you, what you sow you reap, for it is necessary that you be aware of your experiences in this life and that you remember that your harvest will give you back the same seed that you sowed, although multiplied. 18 Oh, humanity, how you have neglected to meditate, feel, or live the teachings of your Master. 19 If to your hands come altered writings of my disciples who in the second era passed on my word to you, I will make you recognize which are the true words of Jesus your conscience will regard as false, those which are not in harmony with the divine concert of my love. 20 You have read my teachings hastily and you have interpreted them to your liking, then you seek new books where men deliver me from Herod to Pilate again, but you find very little there about that sweet word, about that simple doctrine that the divine Master taught you. 21 Everyone keeps on judging me, some regard me as God, others as a man, some call me divine and others a human prophet, some believe me the Son of God and others of David. Some call me a prophet and others an agitator. Some say that I am illuminated by the Most High, others say that I have a pact with the devil, and thus this humanity goes on in pursuit of my name, to place upon me the new INRI, in imitation of the timid Pilate. 22 You judge me through my words and my deeds, but you fail to put in practice the mandate, love one another. You fear to practice that sublime teaching because you think of the mockery of your brethren. 23 Truly I say to you that if I had felt fear along the slope of Calvary and at the cross, you would still be waiting for the Messiah. 24 Do not fall into theologies complicating what is simple. Do not imitate those who pretend to confine God, the truth, within a material book, for as humans you will never be able to analyze God. 25 Do not make difficult what is easy. Do not minimize what is great, or exalt what is insignificant. Do not become doctors without doctrine, or religious without love. 26 Seek your Father who today reaches you as a divine thought emanating love. Behold my light-made word for all men. 27 It is the light of the Holy Spirit which is a message of love comes to tear the veils which obscure human understanding. 28 If you seek with sincerity the knowledge which this word contains and you find its essence, you will have found the truth. 29 The light of this teaching will be the star which will indicate the way where you will have to proceed. You must not remain stationary, for by doing that, you would hinder the progress of your brethren along the spiritual path. 30 I do not come to encourage habits which will delay you spiritually, and although many times you conceal them with a false glitter of elegant words, deep down they contain ignorance and confusion. 31 The book which I open before you is like an exquisite nourishment for the spirit. Its essence, once it reaches your heart, will make changes in it which will help you imitate the Messiah, the Master, who is man, rendered a tribute of perfect love to the Father. When will you glorify the Father in a similar manner? 32 You have unfolded your passions in the world, you have worshipped your idols, but God in the infinite and in your brethren. When? 33 It has been nearly 2,000 years that you repeated that phrase which the shepherds of Bethlehem heard, peace on earth to men of good will, but when have you put into practice your goodwill to make yourselves worthy of peace? Truly I say that you have rather done the opposite. 34 You have lost the right to repeat that phrase. That is why I have come today with new words and lessons, so that it will not be the phrases or prayers that will be engraved in your mind, but the essence of my teaching which will penetrate into your heart and spirit. If you wish to repeat my words just as I come to reveal them, you may do so, but you must keep in mind that as long as you do not feel them, they will have no virtue whatever. Pronounce them with gentleness and humility. Feel them vibrating within your heart, and I will answer you in such a manner that I will make your whole being tremble. 35 Those through whom I manifest myself interpret me poorly. That is why my lesson is for them also, so that they will remove from themselves all superfluous ideas, fanaticism, ancient prejudices, and all that might be mixed with the inspiration which they receive. As time passes by, new and better prepared men will come to listen to me. 36 Elevate your thoughts to me, O beloved spokesman. Ask the Master that during your ecstasy his teaching may be manifested in a cleansed and pure manner. Allow my will to be done in you, and you will see that from your mouths will emanate lessons which will guide these multitudes along the road of love and truth. 37 O my people, forget the superstitions that you were taught in the past and pray before me with true faith. I will liberate you from any attack, and I will send you guardian angels. 38 The law of God is infinite. It embraces all. It is the harmony within everything created. That law does not regard only what is spiritual. 39 You like to learn from memory the precepts of the law, the names of the spiritual virtues, the maxims and phrases of Jesus, but I say to you, it is necessary that you feel all this. To know it does not mean that you feel it. He who wishes to possess my truth should feel it from the bottom of his heart. 40 You think of exalted ideas, of good deeds, but you do not perform them according to my will, because you do not feel them, and for that reason you ignore the divine taste which they leave when they are practiced. You do not practice them with cleanliness, for you believe that you are unable to, and you are not able because you are unwilling. And the fact is that in order to do good it is necessary to love. 41 He who loves understands, he who studies has willpower, he who has willpower can accomplish very much. I say to you that neither elevation nor knowledge will he have, nor will he do great deeds, who does not love with all the power of his spirit. 42 He who separates from the spiritual law, which is a superior law, falls under the domination of the inferior or material laws, those of which human beings also know very little. But he who obeys and remains in harmony with the supreme law is above all rules that you call natural, and feels and understands more than the one who only possesses knowledge which he has found in science or in the religions. 43 Behold why Jesus surprised you with the deeds that you call miracles, but recognize the lessons of love that he gave you. Understand that there is nothing supernatural or contradictory within the divine which vibrates in all creation. 44 You find as contradicting with the love of the Creator your journey through this life filled with bitterness and vicissitudes, in which you imitate your children when they are discontented or sick. You live in continuous weeping because of your miseries, but these are the natural result of your disobediences and faults against the law and the bad use that you have made of the freedom that my love has given you and which you call freedom of will. 45 This lesson which is so easy to comprehend, for it is within the reach of your understanding, you refuse to consider as the truth. 46 Only regeneration and the ideal of perfection will enable you to return to the path of truth. Those who regarding themselves as interpreters of the law of God will tell you that infernal suffering awaits your perversity and rebelliousness, and that only by demonstrating your repentance, mortifying and injuring your bodies and rendering to God material offerings, will he forgive you and guide you to his kingdom. In truth I say that they are in confusion. 47 Where will you go, O humanity? Guided by those whom you admire as great teachers of the holy revelations and whom I see as confused? That is why I come to save you with the light of this doctrine which will allow you to evolve along the path of my love. 48 During this period I come to give you new teachings in which you should meditate, lessons of love which will redeem and elevate you, truth which even though bitter will be enlightenment along your path. 49 Spirituality of this period, like Christianity of the past era, will be contested and pursued with anger, cruelty, and fury, and in the middle of the struggle, the spiritual will emerge working miracles and winning hearts. 50 Materialism, egotism, pride, and worldly love will be the forces which will arise against this revelation, which is not new or different from the one that I brought you in past times. The doctrine which I have come to reveal to you now, and to which you give the name of spirituality, is the essence of the law and the doctrine which was revealed to you in the first and second eras. 51 When mankind understands the truth of this teaching, its justice and the infinite knowledge that it reveals, they will reject from their heart all fear, all prejudice, and they will adopt it as a norm of their life. 52 My law does not enslave, my word liberates. He who believes in me and follows me is not a slave, he ceases to be a subject of the earthly passions, he ceases to be of the world and he becomes master of himself, he overcomes temptations and the world is at his feet. 53 Only spirituality will save this humanity from its chaos, do not wait for another solution, O peoples and nations of the earth. You can make peace treaties, but while that peace is not based upon the light of the conscience, you will be foolish, for you will be building on sand. 54 During the second era I said to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And now you are seeing it. The powerful ones wish to buy peace with their wealth, but they cannot attain it. 55 Thus mankind will understand that the spiritual benefits are essential in the life of man, benefits which cannot be obtained with money but through spirituality. 56 Spirituality does not mean mysticism, but elevation of your feelings, goodness of your heart, righteousness in your deeds, love toward your fellow men. 57 In order to give you this lesson of charity and love, I have not come to humanize myself nor to manifest myself in palaces, in the midst of vanity and surrounded by luxury. In the humble district of your city, among the poor, among the humble, thus I have come to you, as is fitting for the one who in another time said to you, my kingdom is not of this world. 58 This humanity, who has evolved to some extent, lives in a profound lethargy spiritually because it has not been able to search its innermost where the true temple exists. That sanctuary is deserted, its lamp does not burn, its altar is without any offering, but I ask you, why has all this happened? Because for a long time man has been nourished with external worships, substituting it for what should be completely spiritual. 59 He has tried to satisfy the needs of his spirit with ceremonies, traditions, feasts, and material offerings. To which I say, that only the deeds which contain elevation and spirituality will truly strengthen and nourish the spirit. 60 Certainly I receive all the offerings, and in all of them I deposit my love. Do you not believe that it would be more reasonable and pleasing to both the Father as well as yourself, if you would offer me something which would be worthy of me and of yourselves? 61 Many men and people still believe they please me by presenting material offerings. They believe that the greater the splendor and luxury of their liturgies, the greater the enjoyment of the Father and the greater the benefits received from him. And the fact is they have forgotten that if as a man I avoided all that was vain and superficial, today that I have manifested myself to you in spirit, much less will I receive from men objects and material ceremonies. 62 Until when will you come to the point of interpreting with truth my law? When will this humanity cease to violate and adulterate my mandates? 63 I offer you this time to meditate on the spiritual teachings, those which have already been revealed to you since the first eras. 64 Withdraw from habits, vices, superstitions, traditions, fanaticism, and idolatry. I want you to be cleansed so that you can spiritualize yourselves, and I want you to be humble in order for my light to glow within you. 65 Just as in past times, the places of Jerusalem and Rome were for mankind promised lands and fountains of grace where the Lord manifested himself. To this nation, belittled and humiliated, I have designated for it an elevated mission for this era. It must be prepared for both the echo of my manifestation as well as the rumor of my miracles, and the fervor of its witnesses will attract the attention of mankind. 66 The first to come will be the poor, the ignorant, the needy, the innocent, the slave, those who hunger and thirst for justice, and later will come the skeptical, the lords, the scientists. 67 Be vigilant and pray. Be prepared for the arrival of the great multitudes. Be watchful in your deeds, pray in the corner of your chamber or wherever the moment of your communication with me comes to you, and there I will be with you. 68 I have not told you to forsake your worldly responsibilities, but to withdraw from what is not within the law, mainly to relinquish from your life what is unnecessary and superfluous, and that you take with moderation what is permissible. 69 What has your freedom of will given you, when you have used it to pursue and seek material enjoyments? Only pain and disappointments. 70 From the New Jerusalem I am beholding this humanity without being felt by it. Some who have awaited me and others who follow me know that I have returned as the Holy Spirit and that I am speaking to them through a human faculty. Do you know how I find the peoples of the world? They are disappointed, men are indifferent toward men. One does not ask another for help anymore, because he knows that he will not gain anything from his charity, for he knows that his hand is empty. Today materialism reigns. and from all that is good and elevated, only a very weak reflection of light remains. 71 You are surprised that I speak to you thus, and you believe that I am strict and demanding with you, to which I say to you that your evolved spirit should offer me a better harvest than the one which you present to me today. 72 Do you not believe that the division of humanity into peoples and races is something primitive? Do you think that if your progress in your civilization, of which you are so proud, was true, the law of force and wickedness would not still be prevalent, but instead all the deeds of your existence would be guided by the light of your conscience? And you, my people, do not put yourselves outside of this judgment, for also among you I discover conflicts and differences. 73 Since olden times I have spoken to you about a judgment, and this is the time announced which the prophets represented as if it were one day. 74 The word of your God is that of a king, and it stands firm. What does it matter that thousands of years have passed since then? The will of the Father is unchangeable and must be fulfilled. 75 If men would be vigilant and pray, besides believing in my word, they would never be taken off guard, but they are unfaithful, forgetful, unbelieving, and when the ordeal takes place they attribute it to punishment, vengeance, or the ire of God. To which I say to you that every ordeal is announced with anticipation, so that you will be prepared, therefore you should always remain vigilant. 76 The flood, destruction of the cities by fire, invasions, plagues, sickness, scarcity, and still more ordeals were prophesied to all the peoples of humanity, so that you would be prepared and not be surprised. In the same way today, the love of God always has sent a message of alertness, of preparation, so that men will awaken, prepare themselves, and be strengthened. 77 Through the gifts of the Spirit and the faculties which man possesses, my messages reaches his heart. Those gifts are spiritual vision, presentiment, intuition, and the prophetic dream. 78 Then why, most of the time, do you receive ordeals without being prepared? It is not that I failed to send you the message, but you have lacked prayer and spirituality. 79 I have said that a very great ordeal draws nearer mankind, so great that in all the history of its centuries and ages it has not had any comparison, and now you must understand that I am speaking to the heart of all of you. I am allowing my messages and warnings to reach you in many ways, in order for men to meditate and to awaken to my law, like the prudent virgins of my parable. 80 Will the peoples and the different nations of the world listen to me? Will this people, to whom I am manifesting myself in this manner, listen to me? Only I know, but my responsibility as a father is to establish along the path of my people every means toward their salvation. 81 O my people, do not forget this word, do not slumber nor close the doors of your heart to my call of love. Be the messengers of this light, conveying your thoughts, like spiritual missives, toward the mind of your brethren. 82 Now you will better understand why I constantly repeat, be vigilant and pray. My peace be with you. Teaching 25. 1 The spirit of Elijah, like a celestial bell, has awakened you so that you would come to hear my word. 2 Your heart anxiously asks itself, what will the nourishment be that the Father gives us to taste on this day? What will the lesson for today be? 3 Truly I say to you, a woman left someone seriously ill in order to come and hear me, and I say to her, when you return home, that sick one will leave his bed, and he himself will open the door and give you the good news that he is well. For he who forsakes his worldly benefits to be with me will have someone watch over what he has left, and it will be me. For I behold those who while suffering great pain have shed tears in the corner of their chamber without being in despair or complaining against me, accepting their ordeal humbly, knowing that in order to attain my kingdom it is necessary to be worthy of it. 5 I see everyone traveling different roads of the human struggle, and then I have become a pilgrim who crosses your path to ask you, where are you going? And while some answer me, we seek peace, others say to me, we are in search of bread. Then the Master goes ahead and knocks at the door which you are going to knock upon, so that your brethren will receive you with charity and goodwill. This is why when you called you have found the hearts which were hard as rock, deeply moved, you recognized my presence, and you say to me, Lord, is the charity that you have for us so great? 6 The ordeals which you encounter along your path have not happened by chance, I have allowed them so that you can earn merits. The leaf of a tree does not move without my will, and also I am within the great works of creation as well as the lesser ones. Be watchful and pray so that you will understand what fruit you should gather from each ordeal, in order for your purification to be shortened. Carry your cross with love, and I will make it possible for you to endure your restitution with patience. 7 This is the third era in which I come anew to tell you, love one another, but not only among human beings but from one world to another, you should love and have pity on those who are in spirit, for they are also your brethren. 8. How distant is the time when you were told, "He who kills by the sword will die by the sword. The measure you give is the measure you get." Today I say to you, truly repent, cleanse your blemishes with acts of charity, forgiveness and love. 9. From all the pathways I have called you to give only one teaching. On my table there have never been fruits better than the other. I have offered to all only one bread and the same wine. Those who have sat at my table have been the influential as well as the outcasts, the rich as well as the poor, the sinners as well as the meek. I have received those who have lived with purity as well as those who arrive with their spirit blemished. I teach you this so that along the path of your existence you will never discriminate against any of your brethren. 10. Be humble before those who feel superior, and he who humbles himself before you, considering himself small, make him understand that he is not less than you are. 11. It is necessary to practice my doctrine in order to understand the infinite power of love. Love is the virtue that converts the sinful man into my disciple. Love is the essence of the eternal life. 12. There are those who ask me, why do you need to speak to us in this manner in order to guide us along the path of the evolution of the Spirit? Truly I say to you, this word that you hear is the book which comprises my wisdom. 13. Why have I opened this book before you? To reveal many mysteries to man, to shed light upon the darkness of ignorance. 14. Truly I say to you, that men of power cannot do it all, nor do the wise men know everything, nor do the theologians know me in truth. 15. That is why I have come anew as the Master among mankind to illuminate your understanding so that you may understand the great revelations, provided that you do not pretend to have reached the height of my wisdom, but penetrate my sanctuary with respect and humility. He who penetrates thus will be guided by me to where it is my will, and he will never experience pain. 16. Analyze the science of these times. Its fruits are bitter because men want to penetrate into my secrets without respect, and how many, on discovering on a minimum scale the wonders of the universe, have doubted the existence of an omnipotence that has created everything. They are those who only believe in what they see and what they touch, but everything that is beyond their comprehension is denied by them. 17. The knowledge which is beyond your comprehension and materialism is what I have come to teach you so that you can attain your spiritual perfection. 18. Be prepared, O humanity, so that you will avoid eating those bitter fruits that science prepares for you. I have always come to reveal to you the secrets of the true life. 19. During the second era great multitudes listened to me. Thousands of the sick were healed just by being touched by me, or by listening to my word of tenderness, or being contemplated by my loving gaze. Many of them loved and recognized me, although not all followed me, for only 12 were the ones who accompanied me to the end. Their names are immortal because of their examples of perfection, virtue, and sacrifice which they willed to you, but they were not perfect when I called them. If they had been, I would not have called them to teach them. 20. Neither among you do I find just or perfect people, but you will be converted through my teaching, and you will perform great deeds. The heart of mankind is hardened, but I will enlighten you along the pathway so that you will come out ahead. 21. In the second era, when my apostles were scattered throughout the world, Peter had moments of weakness before the persecutions, the cruelty and hardness of men, and wanting to flee Rome to save his life. He beheld the silhouette of Jesus carrying the cross upon his shoulders advancing toward the pagan city. Peter asked his master, "Where are you going, Lord?" To which Jesus answered, "To die again for you." Peter sobbingly offered his Lord to return to the bosom of the sinners to save them, even at the cost of his blood and his life, to die imitating his master. 22. That is why I say to you, do not wait for 1950, the year of my departure, to surprise you unprepared and weak. For if you want to arise and spread my teachings thus, you will weaken. 23. Then you will seek my word to strengthen yourselves, and you will not find it. Today, even while I am still teaching you, arise to practice my lessons, regenerate yourselves, take a step toward spirituality. I will animate you with deeds and miracles, and you will marvel before the great revelations which I will give you from spirit to spirit. I will surprise the materialistic scientists, manifesting to them the existence of the spiritual. All that they have denied and which exists will be beheld by them. Then their curiosity will be aroused, the ambition to investigate the hereafter, and that will be the moment in which my emissaries and disciples will appear to explain all that I have revealed to you and prevent mankind from creating sects and theories around my new revelations. 24 Today is the time to listen, to meditate, and if the moment arrives to go in pursuit of the peoples and nations and some of you are unable to do it, do not fear, for there where you dwell you can do much. Let your children be the ones to spread the good news to distant lands. Remember that I have said that the first will be last and the last first. 25 Today the multitudes come before my teaching. Those who suffer the most, those who hunger and thirst for justice, those who dream of a peaceful life remain to continue listening to my word. 26 Among these poor, rude and simple people I am selecting those through whom I give you my word. 27 The divine master of all periods returns among you to communicate with mankind, guiding the spirit in this manner toward a new day. 28 Prepare your understanding so that you can analyze my word with righteousness. I have already said that the spiritual followers will be the ones who will give a just interpretation to the lessons which your Father has revealed to you in this era and in past times. He who reads in my book and on analyzing it does it with a spiritual meaning will be the one who approaches the truth. 29 In order to succeed in defining this doctrine truthfully, first you have to struggle within yourselves, and sometimes you will even reach a state of confusion. But he who in the midst of his turmoil is vigilant and prays trusting in me, will feel that in his spirit calmness and peace penetrates. 30 The unleashed elements will cause the trees to shed their vain fruits and their dry leaves until they are free from impurities. Are you not aware that tomorrow, when you cease to hear this word, you will be left alone in the pathway, teaching your brethren what you learned from me? I will always be within each one of you. The master will prepare the way and the disciple will fulfill his mission. 31 I promise to enlighten men so that all would know and understand the revelations of my doctrine, and this is the time in which that promise has been fulfilled, this era which man did not wait for, because he has lost himself in a life of science from which he has built a new world and in which the spirits were anxious for my return, for they knew that for them my teaching is their freedom, their elevation, and from which they will attain peace. 32 Some have awaited this era while inhabiting the spiritual realm, others have waited for the miracle while inhabitants of this earth. Blessed are those who were able to wait with their lighted lamp, like the prudent virgins of the parable. 33 Also during the second era the spirits anxiously awaited the coming of the Messiah. Some in the material world, others from the spiritual mansions. It is that Christ is the door, he is the key, he is the way, and the spirits know it. 34 Within me is the power to awaken the spirit of mankind, and in truth I say to you that the hour approaches and there will not be one who will not be moved by my call. Some will awaken from the materialism which made them lethargic. Others from their drunkenness for blood and diversion. Others will awaken from their sleep of ignorance, whose night of darkness and fanaticism has been very long. 35 At the moment that the spiritual light shines on mankind, prayers will emerge from the spirits and they will ask the Father what they should do to please him and thus be able to approach his presence. 36 Analyze my word, O disciples, and you will find wisdom in its essence, so that your spirit may be instructed in the Father's doctrine of love, for it is your spirit to whom I have come to speak, to instruct, preparing it for a more elevated life. 37 You realize that the body is only an instrument for the spirit. Proof of it is that it is mortal and temporary. On the other hand, the spirit is destined for eternity. 38 How ignorant of the spiritual teachings I find this humanity. And it is because it has been taught that my law and my doctrine are only a morality that will be of use as an aid, and not as the path that will guide its spirit toward the perfect mansion. 39 The different religions have come sowing a false fear towards spiritual knowledge within the heart of man, which has caused them to flee from my revelations and to be submerged in the confusion of their ignorance, arguing that the spiritual life is a profound mystery. 40 Those who affirm this are lying. All the revelations that God made to men since the beginning of mankind speak of the spiritual existence. It is true that I had not revealed all my teaching to you, because you were not capable of knowing it all, until the time arrived. But what the Father has revealed up to now is enough for you to have a complete knowledge of the spiritual life. 41 O beloved people, you may call this time opportune, for in it you have had the visit of your Father, and if you wish to designate this date as a great event, record it as the year of 1866, which was when Elijah affirmed that the moment of my presence among this people was near. Since then I have been selecting my disciples so that they will faithfully follow me along this path. 42 Do you wish to follow me? Do you wish to be of my disciples? Seek me with the gentleness and the confidence with which Peter, Andrew, James and John followed me, leaving behind them their loved ones, their fishing boats and nets in order to become, as I said to them, fishermen of men. 43 Today I come to prepare a people who will give testimony to my truth. By what means am I going to manifest myself in the world if it is not through my disciples? 44 I want you to meditate deeply in my word before you initiate the path of fulfillment. Be prepared because men are strong in their convictions. Develop yourselves in thought as well as in words and deeds, thus you will have nothing to fear. 45 Yes, my people, I can see that you are attempting to practice my teachings, to live complying with my law in order to please me with your deeds. The Master blesses you and he encourages you to be perseverant in your regeneration so that you can attain spirituality. 46 After the departure of my word, you will do what my apostles of the second era did. They would gather to pray, and in that manner they would receive the divine light which guided them in each one of their steps. By means of the spiritual prayer, which is what I have come to teach you, they communicated with their Lord, they were animated by his presence, and they were able to understand what was the will of their Master. Now you realize why I adopted them as the base or foundation of my church. Are you aware that I wish to form a new temple? Who will form the foundation of the sanctuary? I will choose the strong, the faithful in virtue, those who are understanding and charitable, because their examples will be worthy of imitating. 47 The secret sanctuary of your Father is about to overflow its heritage upon the spirit of mankind. 48 In your nation I have fulfilled my promise to return among men, but those who have had the grace to listen to my teaching should not, because of this, feel privileged among the rest of mankind. Because the essence of my word will reach every heart at its designated time, saying to them, Welcome, my children, who without weariness reach my presence to hear my word. You are my disciples chosen from among the great multitudes who have come to me, and your heart full of faith, firmly believing in this manifestation, receives my word and my maxims as the seed of truth. 49 You arrived with a burden of suffering and imperfections, with a hunger and thirst for peace and tenderness, and the Master did not stop to behold your blemishes before seating you at his table and serving you the best nourishment. You related to the Father all about your life and the vicissitudes along the pathway. You showed the nakedness of your spirit, whose clothing was torn to shreds by the hurricane winds. Deeply moved, the Father took you to the fountain where you cleansed your stains. He gave you new and clean clothing, and seating you around him, he gave you the first lesson, which was for you like a kiss, like a caress, and like a drop of healing balsam. 50 Thus I began to form within the heart of each disciple my book of wisdom and love, which you should never close, because its contents are not only for you. In its pages there is fortitude for your ordeals and light to dissipate your ignorance. 51 I come to you because your brethren who possess the knowledge have concealed the truth from mankind and have filled their hearts with egotism. I have not come to sell you my love, nor my word, nor my benefits. I only expect you to be prepared so that I can send you to other regions and villages to convey to your brethren the good news of my doctrine, for in all the world there are men who await my return. I wish that by 1950, which is the time that I will cease to communicate in this manner, you will find yourselves strong in order to begin the struggle. 52 I have separated you from fanaticism and from idolatry to fill your heart with the essence of my teaching, so that you may elevate yourself to your Father, offering him a cleansed, spiritual and simple worship. In the same way that I have taught you, I want you to teach your brethren. 53 When the elements are unleashed, be united, O disciples, and through your good deeds, elevation, faith, and unification, I will spread among you my miracles, which will be a testimony for the unbelievers that I am with you. 54 The revelations confined within my secret sanctuary and which are reserved for you are still a mystery, because you have not become worthy of them. 55 The day that I cease to speak to you in this manner is not far away. I want you to be prepared by then, so that there is not a single disciple who is ignorant of how to pray before the Father. 56 The ordeals of life are tempering your spirit. Do not rebel nor complain about them, because afterward, when the whirlwind has passed, you will weep with regret for having offended me with your lack of faith. Remember that I have provided you with weapons so that you will be able to defend yourselves. They are prayer and faith. 57 Pray, and if the storm lashing against your home batters the door down, in truth I say to you that the flame of your lamp, apparently weak, will not be extinguished. 58 When you behold those whom you have converted withdrawing from the pathway and with contempt throwing away the bread which you had offered them, your heart is filled with pain, and you sorrowfully come before the Master to place your troubles in him. But the Master says to you, if it is ingratitude which guides the steps of these, do not fear, allow them to leave, be vigilant and pray for them, but if they have left you for lack of your concern and example, for that you will answer to me. 59 If some throw the bread away and depart, others will come. They will gather the crumbs, and with them they will attain peace and happiness. Those who left will return in search of my laborers because along the desert hunger and thirst will surprise them. You who have not been sent to judge the faults of your brethren will welcome them with goodwill. He who is sick you will heal, and he who is hungry you will nourish. 60 If in spite of having given your help they deny you, forgive them. I will be the one who will judge their cause. 61 Your spiritual past is a mystery for you. That is why I say to you that you should accept your ordeals with meekness, because you are in a time of judgment and of spiritual restitution. 62 The time in which you came to the world to receive honors, enjoyments, pleasures, or to accumulate riches has passed. Today you come to live in humility, to purify yourselves, to elevate yourselves through the ordeals, and to serve your Lord, being useful to your fellow men. 63 Write within your heart a book with your good deeds, and it will give you peace in this existence and infinite happiness in eternity. 64 If someone accumulates riches in exchange for my word and my gifts, I will say to you again, as I did during the second era, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. How meritorious it is to see before me those who yesterday enjoyed satisfactions, honors, and comforts, and today they follow my footsteps with gentleness and humility. 65 Among you are some whom I have tested like Job, for it is not my will that the spirits become lethargic. I want them to be diligent along the pathway. 66 There will come a moment for each one in which the voice of the judge will ask you not only for the word that he is the master delegated to you, but also what you did toward the fulfillment of your mission. 67 Prepare your spiritual gifts of vision, intuition, and presentiment, so that you will be given to know in a figurative sense the test which pertains to you, and you with your prayer will be able to overcome it. 68 Allow my word to guide you, since you are already convinced that I am revealing it for your own good. 69 These teachings seem new to you because you have forgotten them, but today during the third era I have come to reveal them to you again. I have prepared for you a great domain to which I invite you, so that in it you will learn to sow the seed of eternity which I am entrusting to you. 70 I come to prepare my new disciples, so that through their faith and charity they can attain power over the illnesses of the body and the spirit and over the elements of creation. 71 Understand that it is not time for you to live in ignorance anymore. Today you live in the era of light, of the great revelations that my teaching offers you. Can you imagine the wisdom that you could have attained if since the first era you had practiced my lessons, complying with my law? However, you have surrendered to worldly enjoyments and have remained stationary along the road of your spiritual evolution. That is why today that I have returned with my new lesson. This will seem strange to you, incomprehensible, and beyond your way of living. But it would be enough if you meditate on a single one of my lessons for you to acknowledge the truth of my word. Then you will see that there is nothing strange about my doctrine, but rather your way of being outside of my law. 72 Come to my domain. Remember my teaching that you had forgotten. Erase all bad seed, and I will demonstrate the teaching that up to now you have not contemplated. Thus I will bring you out of your lethargy, of your fanaticism, to allow you to penetrate into a true life, that which you should have lived since the beginning of your creation. 73 Do you see how humble this word is which flourishes from the lips of the spokesman? Truly I say to you that in its simplicity, it will convey light upon men, so that they may understand my revelations which by means of science and theology were not able to comprehend. 74 The good disciples, the perseverant, the faithful will be the ones who will analyze this doctrine. They will also be humble, but in spite of their simplicity they will surprise their brethren with the wisdom of their interpretations. 75 My people will not only speak about my teachings, but also with their deeds they will teach mankind how my law should be fulfilled and respected. Without egotism, they will be able to give all that they have received from their Father, and they will demonstrate their zeal for the truth and purity of the treasure entrusted to them. 76 Teach your brethren with good and elevated deeds. Keep in mind that right here you should purify your spirit, so that it will be worthy to proceed to another mansion along its path of spiritual evolution. 77 Take from my teaching the necessary strength to remove the obstacles that you find along your path. You well know that the weapon that conquers all is love. It will be a great joy for the one who comes out triumphant in that struggle and comes before me as the victorious warrior after having won that battle. 78 Remember that it is I who has given you the weapon of love, and in addition I have taught you to fight to win the great battles. Then what are you seeking along other roads when I am giving you everything along the path of truth? 79 I come to manifest myself through the faculty of the lowly. I come to open the eyes of those blind to the light of truth, so that they will be purified of their sins, feeling themselves loved by their Lord. Were you not told during the second era that the day would come in which every eye would see me? He who is cleansed will see me, and that will be his reward. He who bears blemishes within his heart will also see me, and that will be his salvation. He who opens his eyes before my light penetrates into the mystery and knows the reason for my revelations. He, knowing my truth, will walk firmly in the future. 80. Interpret my teaching justly. Do not think that my spirit is pleased seeing your suffering on earth, or that I have come to deprive you of all that is gratifying to you and thus be delighted with it. I come to make you recognize and respect my laws, for they are worthy of your respect and observance, and because obeying them will bring you happiness and eternal peace. 81. Through Jesus I taught you to give God what is God's and to Caesar what is Caesar's, but for men of today only Caesar exists and they have nothing to offer their Father. If only you would give to the world what is just, your worries here would be less, but Caesar has dictated absurd laws to you. He has converted you into his slaves, and he takes your life without giving you any compensation. 82. Observe how different is my law, which does not enslave the body or the spirit. It only convinces with love and guides you with gentleness. It gives you everything in exchange for nothing. It rewards and compensates you along the pathway. 83. O disciples, understand and study my lessons. I wish to form a group of people who will be the depositary of my wisdom, for everything will be prepared so that you can fulfill great missions. Do not be intimidated by the first sound of the alarm. Learn to go and meet the one who is your so-called enemy and forgive him, love him, and acquaint him with my teachings. 84. Thus I want you to be prepared for the day of my departure. All of you know that 1950 is the date indicated by my will to cease communicating through a human faculty, and as my word is always fulfilled, that day will terminate this communication which marked for you the beginning of the third era. 85. Do not try to change that date, nor try by any method to retain the manifestation of my word by this means or that of the spiritual realm. I say to you now that those who do it thus will not be illuminated by the light of the Master. 86. Why must you fall into such a profanation when I have announced and promised that after this period you will communicate with me from spirit to spirit even when you have not been faculties? 87. I will also say at this moment that the prophets of this period have the responsibility to be prepared, for they have the mission to warn the multitudes of the ordeals which await them. I will reveal great prophecies to them in order to help you not to fall into temptation. My peace be with you. Teaching 26. 1. O disciples, after listening to my teaching and judging your past before the light of my word, spiritually you have said, the leaf of a tree does not move without the will of God. 2. You think thus because you begin to understand that the hardships which you are enduring as a bitter cup have been like steps which have brought you closer to the tree of life, where the Master awaits you to grant you your heritage. 3. When you have arrived before the manifestation of my word, all of you have asked yourselves what could be the reason for my return, and while listening to my greeting which states, my peace be with you, those who recognize the value which peace offers are filled with joy, while those who only believe in acquiring material benefits ask me with disappointment inwardly if I have come to offer you only peace. For these who think thus do not offend me, because their incomprehension arises from their ignorance, and this is precisely the confusion that I have come to combat, illuminating the spirits with the light of my doctrine. 5. O hearts which today are hardened by the passions and vicissitudes that have embittered your life, understand that you will attain the peace when you have obtained spiritual elevation. 6. Peace in your spirit speaks to you of light, of morality, of virtues. He who does not aspire to reach that state of elevation shall not dream of enjoying my peace, for he is still captive to the impulses of the flesh and to the false visions of happiness which the physical world offers. 7. He who fosters within his inner self an ardent desire for peace, tired of worldly pleasures, is the one who seeks the liberation of his spirit, anxious to reach the goal for which he was created. 8. From the beginning of mankind there have been few who have sought peace, or once they have attained it, remained in it, because man only seeks it when pain overcomes him. That is why you behold how, after one of your inhuman, destructive, and unjust wars, thousands of beings arise thirsty for peace, which they were not able to esteem before, because they were not aware of the value that divine gift holds. 9. You must understand that it is not in the knowledge of men where you will find peace, since the fountain from which it derives is spiritual. Gold, human knowledge, science, the power of men have not been sufficient to obtain that grace which you will only attain by practicing good deeds, guiding yourselves during your lifetime along the path of love which my law designates. 10. It will not come as a surprise that men whom mankind regard as wise men, when they come looking for my revelations in search of my peace, they will take their place as beginners to study the first lessons of the book of life. 11. No one better than I knows the infinite thirst which exists among mankind. My compassion like a ray of hope penetrates each heart, to make him conscious of the nearness of the struggle through which he will attain the true peace and the liberation of his spirit. 12. My teaching is the voice of the celestial trumpet, which has been heard by the spirits, to whom I have announced that the day of judgment, of atonement, and also of salvation has arrived. 13. Everything had been prophesied, but you preferred to wait for the events without being prepared to be able to face the struggle and obtain your freedom. You lacked faith, obedience to my law of love, and today you find yourselves weeping for your faults. 14. The multitudes that congregate to hear my divine lessons appear to you great in number, but how small they are if you compare them with your brethren who are lacking my peace. 15. In these multitudes I have placed my peace. Some have been able to safeguard it, others forsake it as soon as they cease to hear my word and enter into the routines of life. They are those who, on returning to the humble place where I manifest myself, ask me, Lord, why is it that only when I am listening to you I find the peace, or is it that it only exists in these places? And I answer them that if only at the hour of listening to my word they have found peace, it is because only at that moment their spirit is cleansed from the influence of the flesh. Then on leaving the threshold of these houses of prayers, they return to their life of imperfections, egotism, passions, resentment, and vices, without putting into practice the precepts of the doctrine which they heard, because listening does not mean learning. And only he who analyzes and puts into practice my doctrine will truly be named my disciple, because he will always be spiritually prepared to convey to his brethren the example of dedicating their life to the fulfillment of my teachings. 16. In this lesson you will find the knowledge of the moral responsibility that you have pledged, for having received within your heart the gift of my peace, which you must share with your brethren. 17. Understand and analyze how many times I have said to you, welcome to the humble dwelling converted into a house of peace and prayer, where I manifest myself as the Master. 18. Through my word you have understood your mission and the restitution which falls upon your spirit. Today you recognize that in order to reach me, it is necessary to attain the purity that will make you worthy of entering the mansion of the just, which is the land promised to your spirit. 19. Not all who listen are with me, for the thought of some is far away. On the other hand, there are those who are distant physically, but they are present in spirit. 20. If you knock at my door, I have also approached yours, not to ask but to give you what you need. 21. I come to give light to your spirit, for I behold that it does not want to continue in darkness. It wishes to rise above the ignorance and impulses of the flesh. It wants to contemplate and understand the Father, knowing the purpose of its own existence. 22. Awaken, be aware of the time you are living in, so that when the moment comes in which men arise profaning and erasing all worship from the human heart, they will have nothing to take away from you, because your sanctuary and your worship will be spiritual. Then your spirit will be able to communicate directly with my divinity. That will be its liberation. 23. You live in a world transformed by human science. This is its era, it is the time of its reign. 24. Men have erected a new Babel, a new tower of arrogance and vanity. From its loftiness they defy my power and humiliate the weak. Truly I say to you that man will not reach me through that path. It is not that I am against science, since it is the light that I, your Creator, have placed within the human mind, but that men have made bad use of it. I entrusted science to you as a tree which you should cultivate with love, respect, and zeal, so that from it would emerge fruits of good taste, those which give life. Do you believe that you have properly cultivated that tree? Behold that its fruits have been of destruction and pain, that instead of giving life they have sowed death. How erroneous human science is! But in spite of that, I bless it, because it is a work of my children. 25. Materialism has enveloped mankind. From many hearts my name has been erased. Men forget to pray, which is the spiritual way of conversing with God. My doctrine and my examples through Jesus have been forgotten, and those who try to persevere in my lessons and to comply with my law do so by means of idolatrous worship, seeking me through forms and man-made images. Is that the way my law should be fulfilled? 26. Many have made of nature their God, exalting it as a creative fountain of all that exists. But in truth I say to you that this nature, from whose bosom have emerged all beings, the forces and material elements which surround you, is not herself creator. It was conceived and created before by the divine Maker. It is not the cause nor the reason for life. Only I, your Father, am the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. 27 The shade of the tree of human science has enveloped mankind, the majority of its fruits have poisoned it, and the time approaches in which the sickle of justice will appear to cut out every impure branch and all imperfect fruit. 28 When man was innocent, his state of purity made him worthy of the grace of God. Science was not necessary for him to find the means of living. It was not necessary for his eyes or his intelligence to make an effort to penetrate the secrets of creation to find the light which would illuminate the path of his earthly life. 29 Nature, like a gentle mother, brought its bosom nearer the lips of the child to nourish him. But the child grew and seduced by the external beauty of the fruits of the tree of life. He extended his hand, plucked and tasted them, awakening the need and eagerness for knowledge within his heart and all his being. The age of innocence passed and a new stage began for man, that of science, in which the spirit was desirous to know the human existence and its mysteries. That was the beginning of the struggle, experiences, development, evolution, and restitution. 30 The child who placed his happiness in feeling the maternal caress became the adolescent who, filled with curiosity and anxiety, and amazed before the greatness of the existence which was a mystery to him, went forth along the pathways eager to learn. Who else but I made possible for man to feel that ideal of knowledge and understanding? Everything was foreseen and prepared by me to guide the steps of man on earth. That is why at every step he found a surprise and a new wonder. There was no obstacle, necessity, or difficulty without a solution. If man had his awakening for the world, there also surged within his spirit, in his anxiety and presentiment, a profound eagerness to learn and contemplate the existence which is beyond material creation, beyond the flesh and science. 31 Thus the spiritual worship toward God was born, so that through it the spirit would be nourished and would attain elevated knowledge, living in accordance with the science inspired within my law of love. 32 Not all men have conceived me in the infinite, in the spiritual and in the invisible. That is why since the beginning of mankind, while some have sought me beyond what is physical, others have done it by means of material worships. These are the ones who searched for me in the stars, in the elements, and in other creatures, until they realized that whoever had created all that they venerated must be in infinity, and it was he whom they should worship. 33 From time to time humanity was evolving in its beliefs and in the knowledge of the spiritual, perfecting its worship, illuminated by the divine inspirations. Nevertheless, even now during this time many of my children feel me only by means of forms, rituals, images, and symbols. The fact is that the spirit, still distracted with traditions, is satisfied with what little he obtains with his limited elevation. But for him the moment of preoccupation with the mysteries has come, experiencing the need and going through ordeals, as he had never encountered before along his path. Then he will awaken, and will arise to inquire and search as he did before when he wanted to know the reason for his existence on earth. 34 What is it that you desire most on earth during these moments? Peace, health, and truth. Truly I say to you that these gifts will not be given to you by your science as you had imagined it. 35 Wise men question nature, and to each question she answers them, but behind those interrogations there are not always noble purposes, good feelings, nor charity. Men are the small and foolish, who tear from the mother her secrets and profane her intimacy, not with the purpose of honoring her, taking from her fountains the elements to do good toward one another, as true brethren, but with egotistical purposes and sometimes evil. 36 All of creation speaks to them about me and its voices of love, but how few have been able to listen and understand that language. 37 If you consider that creation is a temple where I dwell, do you not fear that Jesus will appear there wielding a whip to drive out the traitors and those who profane it? 38 O my beloved people, analyze and understand my teaching, open your understanding and allow my light to penetrate there. That light will speak through your deeds, although your word may be humble. It pleases me that your speech is simple, for it will be your spirit that will give testimony of me. 39 The destiny of each one of you is different, but the goals of everyone is the same, to reach God. 40 Some of you suffer, and with it you restitute for your faults against my law in previous times. Others drink the cup of bitterness, due to the wickedness of their brethren. The first are purifying themselves in the ordeals of life. The second will have to drain the same bitter cup which they made their fellow men drink. But truly I say to you that the loving and perfect justice of your Father is manifested in one and all. 41 Love one another. Comply with my law of love, so that the light of peace and harmony shines in the east where now there is confusion and the bitterness of war. Feel the pain of mankind and observe how they seek a savior, like the lost sheep that weep, calling for their shepherd. 42. How much pain overwhelms mankind during this era. No sooner is a child born when already he begins to drain his cup of bitterness because of his brethren. Some lose their mother before feeling the first caress. Others turn deaf with the clamor of war, without having heard the sweet maternal lullaby. 43. The paradise of the first people became a valley of tears, and now it is only a valley of blood. That is why today, when I have come to fulfill the promise that I made to my disciples, I awaken mankind from their lethargy, giving them my teachings of love to save them, and I seek the spirits who are destined to arise during this period to give testimony of my manifestation and my word with their deeds. When those chosen by me find themselves reunited round my law, the earth and the stars will be shaken, and in the sky there will be signs, because at that instant the voice of the divine Spirit, surrounded by the spirits of the just, of the prophets and the martyrs, will judge the spiritual and material realms. 44. Then the time of the Holy Spirit will reach its plenitude. In order for you to make known to your brethren this prophecy, I ask you, when will you arise to fulfill your mission as the disciples of this period? When will you make your brethren listen to you and be moved before the voice of their own conscience? When are you going to convey this word of light and love to mankind? 45. It is my will that you unite so that in each house of prayer and in each congregation the taste of your fruit will be only one. Why should they offer a different taste when all are branches of the same vine? 46. Study, practice, and arise in unity so that your strength may be respected. Do not allow false manifestations to rise from my divinity within the bosom of sects or religions. Do not be the cause of false prophets arising, surprising the multitudes with their word. 47. Be alert, O seers. If you have been tested by your Father, if your people have denied you, do not fear. Remember that Jesus was denied in his homeland, and he had to go to other lands in order to be believed. He said to you, no one is a prophet in his own land. 48. If they are doubtful about your virtues, there will be hearts who will truly believe you. Some of you will enter into strange lands where you will find more trust in your testimony than in the bosom of this people. 49. In order to help you in your mission, the Master has given you his teaching, and he is never tired of doing it, for he is the word of the Father. 50. O my beloved disciples, provide the sick with the healing balsam, do it with love, with true spiritual preparation, so that the needy may experience the divine consolation. 51. On some occasions I have permitted true miracles to be realized without your preparation having made you worthy of it, but now I say to you that you must not neglect your preparation, because I will surprise you. I will test you by not granting what you hoped for, to make you understand that you do not know how to prepare yourselves to impart a true act of charity. 52. Do not allow that only the sick be the one who because of his pain makes himself worthy of my benefits. You should unite to his merits your charity, and in both my grace will be manifested. 53. Maintain your spiritual and material preparation, for you may not be aware of the moment in which you will need to perform an act of charity, and it would be very pleasing for me to make you keepers of my balsam, of the peace or that which your brethren need most. Understand the magnificence of the mission that you have come to fulfill during your restitution, so that you may embrace your cross with all the love of which you are capable. 54. Here in the world, you do not perceive the voice of your conscience as clearly as you will hear it when you are in spirit. That is why many times you neglect the fulfillment of your mission. But keep in mind that regardless of how far away may be the date of your departure to the hereafter, it will always be awaiting you, and when you open your eyes in a new world, you will only receive the light that you have obtained in your struggle, and you will possess the peace of which you are deserving through the merits that you have gained. 55. Do you know how I want you to approach the next mansion where I await you? Filled with peace, illuminated by the light of wisdom, which should glow in every cleansed spirit, without doubts, without tears. 56. No one should think that in coming to this world, my work came as a surprise, giving him a mission. No, that would be to be at fault, showing ignorance, living in the light. I have come only to make you recognize what you received in spirit before you were sent to earth. 57. Now then, O beloved disciples, if your spirit came for that purpose because I ordered it that way, and each one of you desired it and accepted it thus, keep in mind that you must not return to me without having complied with the mission that you promised to fulfill, otherwise it would be very painful for your spirit. 58. Analyze my word. Do not let anything or anyone hinder you in the fulfillment of your mission, that nothing makes you renounce all that as a reward belongs to those who knew how to be warriors of God in the world, apostles of his truth. 59 In order to help you in your restitution, I am giving you my word, and its light will guide you toward perfection. 60 Hear me tirelessly and learn from me. Listen to Elijah and follow his example of virtue so that you can imitate him, as pastors of a portion of spirits which my will has destined for you. 61 I behold everyone with love, and I say to you, that during this era I have not only come to caress and give you my peace, but I also come to teach you, to make you understand that you are possessors of spiritual gifts with which you should help mankind in its tribulation, to guide it toward its final restitution. 62 The time of great trials is at hand, and the spirit is still weak. Great afflictions and disorders await it. And that is why I approach as an ark of salvation to protect my children and help them to evolve along the spiritual path. 63 All the spirits have been made deserving of my justice. Even that of the infants, in their mother's arm, have experienced pain. 64 I am preparing you, O disciples, to spread my doctrine of love and peace to all nations, so that through your compliance you can save your brethren. Approach the humble and the great. Many times you will find yourselves before scientific men, and before them you must give proof of spirituality. How ashamed some will feel when they realize the futility of their material knowledge, and they will confess that what science could not accomplish in healing and in the solution of the problems which afflict mankind was achieved by the love and charity of my disciples. 65 This nation, little known in the world, will have plentiful blessings. Its soil will be prosperous, and its coffers will be open to send nourishment to the nations devastated by war. The spirit of its dwellers, inspired by my love, will convey thoughts of light to the needy, and when the time for preaching comes, they will carry my word and with it comfort and heal those who suffer. 66 Many foreigners will come to join with you in your ideas of peace and harmony. Spirituality as a beneficial seed will be spread, and the truth that it preaches will be acknowledged. Then the Son will be able to love me with purity, and the fountain of grace from which all righteousness originates will be spread upon mankind. 67 I want you to fulfill your mission during this period, and when you pass on to the hereafter you will continue your spiritual work. Teach your brethren that only one law filled with justice governs all spirits, that everyone occupies a place in my creation, and each one is stimulated by me in its compliance. Everything obeys the divine immutable laws. 68 If humanity during this time of trials judges you unjustly and holds you responsible for the war of ideas, for the destruction of nations and lack of peace, do not be intimidated or confused, remain prayerful and vigilant. Do not fear if you are complying with my law. 69 Understand that I have permitted wars to become unleashed for the spirit of mankind to purify itself. Every nation, institution, and dwelling are touched by my justice to reveal the degree of progress in which they find themselves. 70 Be active as I have taught you. Regenerate the sinners. Mend lives, and bring before me those who have parted. And when this phase has passed, the light of knowledge and experience will be within all spirits, my doctrine will inspire men, and there will be no adulterations or unrighteous interpretations of my law. 71 If sometimes I call you children, it is because before my divinity you are still small, and before eternity your existence is very short. Do you not at times evaluate your happiness in a trifle? Do you not sometimes weep for something that should not be cause for your pain? 72 Truly I say to you that I have not come only to seek the poor and the humble, but also the one who has excelled in the world, whether through his power or his knowledge. I am calling all, so that they can obtain the purification of their spirit. 73 If among the poor I have allowed myself to be felt through what little they possessed, to prepare and awaken them, also those who have accumulated material benefits I will touch so that they may heed my call. He who is deaf to my voice I will lift from this world, and in the spiritual realm I will indicate to him the work that he failed to fulfill on earth. 74 May this teaching serve you as a lesson. Accumulate merits before leaving this world. Leave hope, health, and peace as a mark of your passage. If you do not do it, you will weep tomorrow. 75 Your heart should be strengthened to resist the trials awaiting it. I have said that you will suffer persecutions and slander, that you will be blamed for the religious confusion that is to take place. But I will be watchful over you and will allow you to go forward. 76 Remove from your heart the horror that you might feel for those who suffer diseases that you call revolting, and reject the repulsion that you might experience in finding yourselves before the homicidal or the one who has gone mad in vices. Extend your hand, give to them deeply felt words. Pray for them. Only I am aware what is concealed in each one of those existences, only I know the causes for their downfall. 77 Only I can forgive and absolve those who are persecuted and condemned by human justice. 78 I am strengthening your spirit with my word, for you still have much to experience and feel within your heart. 79 I am sensitizing your feelings which are lethargic because of your materialism. Yesterday you did not feel the affliction of others, but soon your eyes will shed many tears for the suffering of your fellow men. 80 The fields are abundant and the laborers are few. Be of those laborers who will learn to sow this blessed seed. Do it now while you live on earth, so that you may reach the hereafter with merits. My peace be with you. Teaching 27. 1 O beloved disciples, I am opening your eyes to the light of my teaching so that you may separate truth from falsity. The light of your conscience, feelings, and intuition that you possess will be that which will indicate the right path and reveal the good fruits. 2 From the true knowledge of my doctrine, humility will be born within you because you will feel so small before your Creator, and in spite of that, so dignified and gifted by Him that you will not dare lift your gaze toward the Father, if you consider it impure. 3 Vanity is harbored in those who, believing themselves to have reached the complete knowledge of the truth, have considered themselves wise, strong, infallible, great, and absolute, without realizing that many times they are confused. For I do not desire that from among these people who have barely begun to develop under the light of these lessons will tomorrow emerge men who are confused because of their vanity, boasting that they were the reincarnation of Christ, or that they are the new Messiahs. 5 Whoever commits such acts will be those who, believing they have reached the understanding of all my truth, in reality are far from the path indicated by Christ, which is of humility. 6 Study the life of Jesus on earth and you will find a profound and unforgettable lesson of humility. 7 Jesus knew who he was, where he came from, and for what purpose he came. Nevertheless, he never walked in the marketplaces or in the streets, proclaiming with pride that he was the Son of God, the Messiah, or the Savior. But with his deeds he gave a perfect testimony of his doctrine of love and charity. With his works he let it be known who he was, and when someone approached to ask him, "Are you the Christ?" Jesus readily answered him, "You have said it." 8 That is to say, while men would say it with their lips, he would approve it with his works, without which all their words would lack value. 9 Keep in mind all this, O beloved people, so that once you are dedicated to the struggle you will not allow yourselves to be surprised by temptations nor permit your heart to receive the reward which belongs only to the Spirit. 10 To prevent you from falling into this weakness, I will allow this form of my communication with you to have its limit, although there exist those who are able to fulfill this mission with true humility. There are also those who have believed themselves to be gods before the multitudes, but when they see that what they had yesterday they do not possess anymore, they will come to realize that in order to attain an everlasting communication with the Father, it is necessary to have humility. 11 Everyone knows that I have indicated a day for this communication to come to an end. That date will be 1950, but you will see how those who became conceited and exalted with this manifestation will not submit themselves to the will of the Father, because they will think that on losing that gift they must return to their way of life, ignored by the multitudes, and cease to be exalted by the people. 12 When that moment takes place, the spokesman will say, "Who will come to listen to us when the people realize that the Master does not speak through our mouth?" And the guides will say, "Who will come to our prayer houses when they find out that the word of the Father does not resound anymore through the mouth of his chosen ones?" Today I say to one and the other that if that was the only means by which I manifest myself to their spirit, I would never deprive you of it, but if I make it cease, it is a sign that something more elevated and perfect awaits you, something that you also know is the communication of spirit to spirit with your Father. 13 O my people, form a book with my words and safeguard its contents within your spirit, illuminated by the light of your conscience, so that you will never profane my work. 14 If you have believed in my manifestation in this manner, you must also believe. 14 If you have believed in my manifestation in this manner, you must also believe that I will cease to speak to you as I have been doing up to now. And if you have believed in my presence when I have taught you through a human faculty, availing myself of simple and imperfect beings, why do you not believe that you can receive my divine inspiration from spirit to spirit? 15 O disciples, I have already taught you for a long time. Do not limit yourselves only to hearing me. Analyze my word with love, study it deeply now that you are in the time when you can do it and not after you have fallen into temptation, for your task will be more difficult. 16 Study my teaching that you may interpret it rightly, and with its light you will be able to understand the meaning of life and the purpose of its trials. 17 Many who behold the elements unleashed, the waters overflowing and devastating lands with their furious currents, and men engaged in destroying themselves in cruel fratricidal wars, Say that it is the wrath of God which is also unleashed. 18 I forgive those who interpret my justice in that way, but they will realize that all the suffering and vicissitudes that mankind endures are due to their disobedience to my law. 19 There are some who say, Lord, if we have offended you so much with our imperfections, besides being the cause of all our hardships, would it not be better if you destroy us? Why do you keep us in a state of pain? 20 To those who ask me thus I say, if I did not love you, I would make you disappear by only saying, let it be so, but if in spite of your faults I continue to preserve you, that is proof that a high destiny awaits you. 21 My designs are perfect and my love for you is infinite. Therefore, your imperfections will never have sufficient merit to alter the will of the Almighty. Unceasingly you stray from the pathway indicated by my law, but in the end within the perfection of my justice you will find my love. 22 Mankind has always been subjected to trials in which besides purifying its spirit it has attained the light of experience, that which during this period will help it to understand the wise, just and perfect lessons that life offers. It is for that reason that I have said that you must struggle against darkness with your sword of light, in addition to remaining watchful and prayerful so as not to fall into temptation. 23 If you wish to delve deeper into the reason for your ordeals, remember that you are in the time of restitution of all your past faults. Whenever you have faith in what I am explaining, a sweet conformity and an infinite peace will invade your being, knowing that I am the only one who knows your past and can judge it with love. 24 Behold at this time the exiled kings, princes without hope of reigning, the wealthy in ruin and the powerful in their sickbed. Who knows the restitution which exists within those tests to which they are subjected? Only I know. But I want you all to know that with sincere repentance, with good deeds, with regeneration and spirituality, you can shorten your restitution until you obtain your freedom from pain, and with it peace. 25 With these lessons I am clarifying the teachings which you have received since the most remote times, but which men had concealed from you, preventing mankind from finding the path of salvation. 26 Do you not believe, O my beloved people, that if in this time you have been of the first to understand this truth, that knowledge obligates you to convey this light to the battlefields and to the people without peace? 27 To do that, scrutinize my word, but always do it with the purpose of reaching the truth. 28 Strengthen your faith in my word, so that in the future, when you hear arguments against this work, you will not weaken. 29 You say to me, Master, what is it that we could hear against your perfect doctrine that could possibly put our faith in danger? 30 You think in that manner, now, O beloved disciples, for you are still unaware of the tempests and the struggle that approaches. Now you come in peace to hear my word, to rejoice with my lesson, but I prepare and put you on the alert, so that no one may surprise you. Among you are many innocent ones, many of good faith, of noble sentiments, men and women without malice, who are unfamiliar with perversity and treachery of which men are capable, and if they do not prepare themselves, they will be easy prey for those who arise against this doctrine. They will be as helpless sheep before hungry wolves. 31 It is more convenient for you to learn now, from me, what you will hear tomorrow. Be prepared with the light of my teaching for the struggle. Let nothing harm you when you are attacked and they try to dishearten you. 32 Do not be disturbed when they tell you that he who has spoken to you during this period has been the tempter, and that it was prophesied that he would also perform miracles, with which he would perturb and confuse the very chosen ones. Truly I say to you that many who think in that way about my manifestation will be those who actually are in the service of evil and in darkness, although their lips try to assure that they are always spreading the truth. 33 Do not forget that the tree is known by its fruits, and I say to you, the fruit is this word which has come to vibrate through the faculties of these spokesmen, men and women of simple heart. By the fruits and spiritual progress of those who have tasted it, mankind will recognize that I am the tree. 34 The spiritual Trinitarian Marian doctrine will be spread, causing a real alarm among many who, believing they studied and understood the lessons which they had previously received from the Father, have become conceited with the knowledge of their philosophies and their sciences, unaware of the spiritual evolution that mankind has reached. On awakening from their lethargy, they will become aware of the manner in which the spirit of men thinks and feels today. They will hurl anathemas against what they call new ideas, and they will declare that this movement is being provoked by the Antichrist. Then they will go back to the scriptures, to the prophecies and to my word which I gave you during the second era, to try to combat my new manifestation, my new lessons and all that I promised and which today I am fulfilling. 35 Through the lips of my disciples and by means of writings, my word will reach even those who admit nothing beyond what is material or from their knowledge and concepts which they have already accepted, and they will call me a false god for bringing you this word. But when you hear this, even if your heart feels hurt, your faith will not suffer any discouragement, recalling with emotion that your master already had announced it to you and strengthened you with his word to resist those tests. On the other hand, I say that even if along your way you find falsity, hypocrisy, superstition, religious fanaticism, and idolatry, do not judge anyone because of his errors. Instruct them with my word and leave their cause to me. For I am the only one who judges you and who knows who is the false God, the false Christ, the unrighteous apostle, the hypocritical Pharisee. 36 You need only to interpret my teaching in the most simple manner in order for the divine seed to fructify through your deeds, and by its essence the one who inspired it to you may be recognized. 37 The heart of this people will not be sterile. I know, because I have called and gathered them. There will be moments when many, even without my work, will be confused. But in the end they will be saved from the whirlwind and filled with light. They will arise in search of the paths that lead to other lands, spreading my doctrine to other groups of peoples, with a divine message of spiritual fraternity and peace. They will teach that everything material has a limit, that they have made bad use of freedom of will, and that today I have come to put a stop to your rapid pace, allowing my will to be done, but I do not come against you, but for the good of will that the Spirit contributes to attain its salvation. 44 I find you confused, because you have adopted the books in which your brethren have printed their errors, those which for a long time you have regarded as the pure truth, but the days approach when man will have to correct his own dogmas. For the light of the new era will allow him to see the path of truth, because in the night in which his spiritual life finds itself, there will be enlightenment. 45 I give you this doctrine to teach you to penetrate from your human existence into the spiritual life. 46 You are still more flesh than spirit, and that is why you continually doubt the truth of this word, and you ask yourself, is it truly the Master who speaks to us? Then emerges a yes from the Spirit that struggles against a no from the flesh. 47 I manifest myself before you in a limited way so that you will hear my word, in which I transmit my divine thoughts that come once more to mark the pathway of your spiritual elevation. 48 I bless the one who believes in my communication in the same way as the one who doubts. I do not have any preference, I love everyone equally. I manifest myself to the world not only to certain hearts, but to illuminate all the pathways with light, so that men can proceed toward the goal of spirituality and comply with the divine mandate which says, love one another. 49 I am the divine sower of love, and I know the time to sow and the time to gather the fruit. It was written that when men found themselves in the greatest degree of perversity, God would again give light to the world. 50 O disciples, it is time to sow. Men seek and clamor for war. Go and seek the human heart to sow peace and love within it. 51 If you are attacked, shield yourselves in the purity of my doctrine. While men triumph by taking human lives, I will triumph by giving you eternal life. 52 The legions of righteousness are in action. They have entered the battle, but they come to save those who perish. That is my divine task. Have you forgotten that I have been called the Savior of mankind? What is so strange that the shepherd seeks his sheep? Before you existed, I already loved you, and your disobedience was already foreseen as well as your salvation. 53 When I manifested myself in Jesus, he was said to be your king, and you gave him the cross as a throne. Then I demonstrated all the power that love, forgiveness, and gentleness has. In the same way that I allowed his blood to be shed, thus I give you my love without limitation. 54 Do you believe that in this time of afflictions, I will not be among you? Here I am. I have come like a spring of clear water to quench the spiritual thirst that consumes you. I have come to say to you, it is time to let your spirit evolve, so that all its inactive faculties may awaken. For that purpose I have come to inspire you and explain spirituality to you. 55 Faith, thought, and will are faculties of the Spirit. Be great and strong with these gifts, and manifest them in all your deeds, which should always be based on love. 56 You know the mission which I have imposed upon myself. 57 I await you in eternity, but you have to struggle to reach me. That is why I come to enlighten your path, so that you can follow it and always go forward. 58 Be pure in your thoughts, words, and deeds, and you will be within my path. Then you will be able to occupy the kingdom of the Father, the mansion that I have destined for you. 59 Dominate your emotions, forsake your material pleasures, and have concern for your brethren. Behold how the blood of my children is shed in this world. Hear the sobs that escape from the suffering hearts. There are many nests with their lifeless birds, many children who suffer, many mothers who weep, and many infants without a cradle. 60 Pray for them, so that the fraternal feelings of some and the maternal feelings of others may be like a balsam of hope that will penetrate into their hearts. 61 Leave flashes of light for the traveler who is right behind you, then you will feel God in your heart and within your innermost being. The Father will find his true temple there. The conscience will be like the summit of the mount from which I will manifest myself. Then man will be more spirit than flesh and more clarity than darkness. 62 In the same way that the breeze and the sunlight caress you, O my people, caress your fellow men. This is the time in which the poor and the needy are abundant. Keep in mind that he who asks for a favor is giving you the grace to be useful to others and to work toward your salvation. He gives you the opportunity to be merciful, and with it you can imitate your Father, because man is born to scatter the seed of righteousness throughout the world. Understand then that he who asks does you a favor. 63 He who says that he has done a favor by being charitable lies, for he has barely complied with an obligation. 64 I will rejoice with my disciples when the gentle and vibrant notes of spirituality emerge from their harmonious concert. For all those who are prepared will speak the language of the heart. Those who are not prepared will not be lost, because I am the one who can wait for the fruits to ripen, but these will regret their disobedience when they drain their cup of bitterness. 65 I am in everyone, but some will say, I do not feel your presence. Others will say, I cannot see you. But all will realize that I am in everyone and in everything created. Why do you try to see everything with your eyes and feel it with your senses? Try to see with the spirit, with your mind and with your heart. 66 Then you will see the unknown and you will feel it vibrating in all your being. When you realize how much I love you, you will not say again that your God punishes you. 67 Truly I say to you that wrath does not exist in me, because that is a human weakness. You are the ones who ignite the flame of pain, and afterward you clamor for me to extinguish it, but it is my justice which manifests in you. That is why you have to extinguish the flame of hatred and emotions which you have ignited with the water of virtue, with tears and even with blood. 68 During the second era I said to you, foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of God has nowhere to lay his head. 69 I leave you peace. I give you peace. In it you will find comfort and happiness. Be in my love, just as I am in your affliction. 70 Understand that I have penetrated your heart without you noticing my arrival. In order to feel my presence you have to be vigilant, but when I found you, you were asleep. That is why when I awoke you, you asked with surprise who had arrived. Who was speaking to you in that manner? 71 I must remind you that I did not come to surprise you with an unexpected visit. Long ago I made it known to you the signs which would precede my manifestation as the Holy Spirit, but seeing you did not behold and hearing you did not listen. 72 If you examine the events which have affected your world in the past century, whose dates remain recorded in your annals, you will realize that truly all that was prophesied by the Father has faithfully been fulfilled. 73 Truly I say to you that while my communication lasts, I will not be believed, for it will be necessary for men to cleanse their heart and mind first, in order for them to comprehend my word. 74 To those who listen to my lessons day by day and still are continuously receiving proofs of my truth yet doubt and deny me, I say to them that it is necessary for them to study the spiritual meaning of my teaching in order for them to understand its truth. In the same way I spoke to them during the second era when I said, it is necessary that I die in order to be believed and that I be resurrected on the third day, so that mankind may be convinced that I am the Son of God. 75 Those who are still far from spirituality would like to behold me in the form of Jesus to say to me, Father, I believe in you because I have seen you. I will say to them, blessed are those who without seeing have believed, for they have given proof that thanks to their spirituality they have felt me within their heart. 76 Do you understand now why man has found it necessary to make images which will represent me? Because of his lack of preparation, because he is not sensitive to spiritual manifestations. 77 If man understood my doctrine, he would not feel the need to sculpt or paint images and then kneel before them. He would discover that in the world there does not exist a more perfect image of the Father than man himself spiritually elevated. Then he would attempt to imitate my deeds to draw nearer his Creator. 78 John, the Apostle, penetrated into the spiritual. In his ecstasy he felt the presence of the Father. He felt weakened before his spiritual voice. But in spite of contemplating figures and forms in those visions, He did not understand that each image was only a symbol of a great book of wisdom and prophecy, but not the figure or the form of God. 79 The man that he beheld, the lamb, the lion, the book, the stars, the elders, the candlestick, and all that his amazed sight beheld, were only figures and forms existent on earth known by men, which were adopted as symbols, to represent with them profound and divine teachings. However, no one can contemplate my divinity in all its splendor, because I am infinite, I have no beginning or end. 80 If the book of the prophecies of John has been regarded by some as an unfathomable mystery and considered by others with an erroneous interpretation, it must be because humanity has not yet attained the necessary spirituality to understand what is represented there, and I can also tell you that not even the prophet understood what was revealed to him. 81 John heard and saw, and being ordered to write, instantly obeyed, but he understood that message to be for men who would come a long time after him. 82 Today you find yourselves in that period which was prophesied to you, and this doctrine as the light of a new era has the power of teaching you to read in that book which was closed to your comprehension for a long time. The hour approaches in which you will decipher all that you saw concealed behind a veil of mystery for such a long time. 83 Do you not in fact believe that if John had understood the significance of the revelation that he received, he would have clearly explained its contents, instead of bequeathing to you a book of figures and symbols? Bear in mind that if he had explained with full clarity that revelation, what man of that period would have comprehended it and thus believed in the truth of that prophecy? 84 It was my will for that book to remain sealed and only its existence and part of its contents be revealed to you, so that when this period came, I would come to explain this revelation to you. 85 Awaken, O my people, spread this message to mankind so that they will receive in their spirit the light of my word in this third era. Forget your human miseries and exclaim, Hosanna! Hosanna, for at last your spiritual evolution will permit you to understand the true meaning of the teachings which I have allowed to become known, and whose light will guide you toward a perfect mansion in eternity. My peace be with you. Teaching 28. 1 O disciples! The time draws near in which your brethren will come before you anxious to question you, asking you for the testimony of the revelation which I am revealing to you during the third era, to illuminate their understanding. When this happens, do not deny me by secluding yourselves. If during this stage of my manifestation I am indoctrinating you with so much love, it is precisely to teach you to transmit my teachings, each time that you are questioned. 2 Lamb reminding you to begin to practice my doctrine with the sole object of developing your spiritual gifts and faculties, so that once the time of propagating my word among mankind comes, your lips will not be hesitant and your understanding slow to manifest my truth. 3 Your mission is to imitate your divine master during his stay on earth. Remember that when I visited the homes, I always left in them a message of peace. I healed the sick, I consoled the sorrowful with the divine power which love possesses. For never did I fail to enter a home because I would not be believed there. I knew that on leaving that place, the heart of its dwellers would still be overflowing with joy, for unknowingly, their spirit had glimpsed the kingdom of heaven through my teaching. 5 At times I went to their hearts, in others they searched for me, but in all cases my love was the bread of eternal life that I delivered to them in the essence of my word. 6 On some occasions when I retired to the solitude of a valley, only at moments did I remain alone, because the multitudes, eager to hear me, approached their master in search of the infinite gentleness of his gaze. I received them, pouring upon those men, women and children, the tenderness of my infinite charity, knowing that in each creature there was a spirit that I had come to seek in the world. Then I spoke to them about the kingdom of heaven, which is the true home of the spirit, in order for them to soothe their anxieties with my word and be strengthened with the hope of attaining eternal life. There were occasions when there was someone concealed among the multitude who harbored the intention of shouting denials of my truth, assuring that I was a false prophet, but my word would surprise him before he had a chance to open his lips. At other times, I permitted a blasphemer to offend me, to prove before the multitude that the master was not disturbed by offenses, thus giving them an example of humility and love. 7 There were some who, ashamed before my gentleness, left immediately, repentant for having offended with their doubts the one who with his deeds was preaching the truth, and as soon as an opportunity presented itself, they came to me. They followed me along the pathways, tearful, moved by my word, not even daring to speak, and asked forgiveness for the insults which they had previously inflicted upon me. I would call them, caress them with my word, and granted them a certain grace. 8 Those same roads are the ones which you now travel through, O my beloved people, They are pathways which have been prepared with my examples of love and which now await you, O disciples of the Holy Spirit, so that you may convey redemption to mankind with my word and your example. 9. Do not forget that the chaff and weeds will be destroyed only through deeds of love and charity which I taught you through Jesus. 10. You will find the roads full of rough stones and the fields covered with nettle, but your spirit guided by Elijah and strengthened in its faith with the desire of delivering the balsam of love to those who suffer will bathe the part of those who live in darkness. With the light of truth it will not feel the thorns along the road nor the pain which doubt and incomprehension might cause. 11. Travel along this path, and the greater the number of hearts in which you spread charity, the greater your intuition will be and the deeper and more constant your faith in the deeds which I will manifest through you. 12. If before you started your mission it seemed impossible or difficult to fulfill, afterward it will seem easier each time, thus confirming your spiritual progress. 13. This is the time in which I will allow to incarnate on earth all spirits with whom I will form my very beloved people, so that with their deeds of love and charity they will give humanity the testimony of the true knowledge of the spiritual life. 14. You, who were chosen to fulfill this mission and who have the knowledge and certainty of belonging to my people, delight yourselves with this revelation. But do not be intimidated before the struggle that approaches, for truly I say to you, that the warriors who should struggle for the truth must not be afraid before the adversaries that mankind presents to them. 15. To all those who feel within your spirit the eagerness for spirituality, for freedom, to elevate yourselves to me along the path of love, charity, and justice, I declare you belong to my people and you will be warriors of the truth. But to succeed you must be watchful and pray, struggling against your weaknesses, so that the testimony that you give about my doctrine will be truthful. 16. I will also tell you that anyone who wishes to belong to my people will be welcomed and loved by them when he gives testimony with his thoughts and deeds that the ideal of love is the light which illuminates the path of his existence. 17. In order for you to understand my lesson better, listen to my parable. 18. Two travelers walked slowing along an extensive desert. Their feet were painful from the burning sands. They were headed toward a distant city. Only the hope of reaching their destination encouraged them in their arduous journey. Their bread and water were nearly exhausted. The younger of the two began to weaken, and he begged his companion to continue the journey alone because his strength was failing him. 19. The older traveler tried to encourage the young man, telling him that perhaps they would find an oasis soon where they would regain their lost strength, but the latter did not take heart. He thought of leaving him in that lonely place, but in spite of being also weary, he placed his dejected companion upon his shoulders and continued his journey laboriously. 20. When the young man was rested, thinking of the weariness he was causing the one who was carrying him upon his shoulders, he let go his neck, took him by the hand, and thus they continued the journey. 21. A great faith encouraged the old one's heart, which gave him strength to overcome his weariness. As he had foreseen, there appeared on the horizon an oasis under whose shade the coolness of a spring awaited them. Finally they reached it, and they drank from that strengthening water until they were satisfied. They slept a refreshing sleep, and on awakening they felt that their weariness had disappeared. Neither did they experience hunger nor thirst. They felt peace in their heart and strength to reach the city they were seeking. They would not have wanted to leave that place, but it was necessary to continue the journey. They filled their flasks with that pure, clear water, and they continued their journey. 22. The older traveler, who had been the young man's support, said, "Let us use the water we are carrying sparingly. It is possible that we may meet along the path some pilgrims overcome by fatigue, dying of thirst, or sick. It will be necessary to offer them what we are carrying." The young man protested, saying that it would not be sensible to share that which might not even be enough for them, that in such a case, since they had gone through so much effort to obtain that precious element, they could sell it at the price they desired. 23. Not satisfied with this answer, the old one replied that if they expected to have peace in their spirit, they should share the water with those in need. 24. Annoyed, the young man said that he preferred to consume the water in his flask by himself before sharing it with anyone whom he should encounter along the way. 25. Again the presentiment of the old one was fulfilled, for they beheld before them a caravan composed of men, women, and children who were lost in the desert and were on the verge of perishing. The kind old man promptly approached those people, to whom he gave water to drink. The travelers felt strengthened at once. The sick opened their eyes to thank the old traveler, and the children ceased weeping for thirst. The caravan arose and continued their journey. 26 There was peace in the heart of the generous traveler, while the other one, seeing his flask empty, with alarm said to his companion that they should return in search of the spring to replenish the water which they had consumed. 27 We should not turn back, the good traveler said, for if we have faith, we will find new oasis further on. But the young man doubted, he was afraid, and he preferred to say goodbye to his companion right there to go back in search of the spring. Those who had been brothers in a common cause were separated. While one continued forward in the pathway filled with faith in his destiny, the other, thinking that he might die in the desert, ran toward the spring obsessed with the fear of death in his heart. At last he arrived panting and fatigued, and with satisfaction he drank until he quenched his thirst, forgetting his companion whom he allowed to go on alone, as well as the city which he had renounced, deciding to remain and live in the desert. 28 It was not long after that a caravan, composed of exhausted men and women, passed nearby. They anxiously approached to drink from the waters of the spring. But suddenly a man appeared who would not allow them drink and rest unless they paid him for those benefits. It was the young traveler who had taken possession of the oasis, malting himself the lord of the desert. 29 Those men listened to him with sadness, for they were poor and they could not buy that precious treasure which would satisfy their thirst. Finally, depriving themselves of what little they carried, they bought a little water to quench their desperate thirst and continued their journey. 30 Soon that man converted himself from a lord to a king, for those who passed that way were not always poor, there were also powerful ones who could give a fortune for a glass of water. 31 This man gave no further thought to the city that was beyond the desert, and much less to his fraternal companion who had carried him upon his shoulders, saving him from perishing in that wilderness. 32 One day he saw a caravan approaching that surely was headed toward the great city, but to his surprise he observed that those men, women, and children were walking filled with strength and joy, singing a hymn. This man could not understand what he beheld, and his surprise was even greater when he saw the one who had been his traveling companion marching at the head of the caravan. 33 The caravan stopped in front of the oasis, while the two men looked at each other, greatly surprised. Finally, he who dwelt in the oasis asked his former companion, "Tell me, how is it possible that there are people who pass through this desert without being thirsty or experiencing weariness?" The reason was that inwardly, he wondered what would become of him the day when no one approached to ask for water or lodging. 34 The good traveler said to his companion, "I reached the great city, but along the way not only did I encounter the sick, but also the thirsty, the lost, the weary, and I revived everyone with the faith which has revived me. And thus from oasis to oasis one day we reached the gates of the great city. There I was summoned by the lord of that kingdom, who, seeing that I was familiar with the desert and that I showed pity for all travelers, gave me the mission to return and be a guide and advisor along the difficult crossing of the travelers, and here I am once again guiding another of the caravans I must take to the great city." "And you, what brings you here?" he asked the one who had remained at the oasis. Ashamed, the latter was silent. Then the good traveler said to him, "I am aware that you have made this oasis yours, that you sell its waters, and that you charge for shelter. These benefits are not yours, they were placed in the desert by a divine power to be used by anyone who needed them. Do you see these multitudes? They do not have need of the oasis because they do not feel thirsty, nor are they fatigued. It is enough that I transmit to them the message that the Father of the great city conveys through me for them to arise, finding strength at every step with a goal that they have to reach that kingdom. 35 Leave the spring to those who thirst, so that those who suffer the rigors of the desert may find rest and quench their thirst in it. Your pride and selfishness have blinded you, but what good has it been to be the lord of the small oasis, when you live in this lonely place and have deprived yourself of knowing the great city that both of us were seeking? Have you already forgotten that goal which was for both of us?" 36 That man, listening in silence to the one who had been his faithful and unselfish companion, burst into tears, for he felt repentant because of his faults, and tearing off his false finery, he went in search of the starting point, which was where the desert began, in order to follow the path which would take him to the great city. But now he walked along the pathway illuminated by a new light, which was of faith and love toward his fellow men. End of parable. 37 I am the Lord of the great city, and Elijah is the old one of my parable. He is the voice of one crying in the wilderness. It is he who again manifests himself among you, in fulfillment of the revelation that I gave you in the transfiguration on Mount Tabor. 38 He is the one who guides you during the third era toward the great city, where I await to grant you the eternal reward of my love. 39 Follow Elijah, O my beloved people, and everything will change in your life. All will be transformed in your worship and ideals. 40 Did you believe that your imperfect worship would be eternal? No, disciples, tomorrow when your spirit beholds the great city on the horizon, he will say like his master, my kingdom is not of this world. My peace be with you. This has been a reading of the Book of True Life, Teachings of the Divine Master, Volume 1.